Chapter 224. After the beginning of spring, the days gradually became longer. But for the day to completely surpass the night, he had to wait until March 20th or 21st. So, when is the day short and the night long? September 22nd or 23rd? Second question, when is the polar day in the North Pole? Simple, he didn't even need to remember to deduce. At next stop, Waterway Bridge, Waterway Bridge. The female announcer's gentle voice made Toru Watanabe end the random quiz in his mind and follow the crowd out of the tram. Coming out of the west entrance, there was a noodle shop. In the cold winter night, the shop was full of people and filled with fog. Going left, there was a coffee shop called Excelsior Coffee at the corner. The sign on the door introduced the coffee and ice cream specials for Valentine's Day. Walking past the coffee shop and looking at the Ferris wheel in the distance, Toru Watanabe called Miki Kujo. "What's up?" Miki Kujo's concise and imposing voice came through. "Miki, I'm about to go to your place. I'm not at home." After a pause, she continued, "Where are you?" "I'm in the middle of nowhere, looking at the Ferris wheel in the Tokyo Dome, talking to my Miki. Watching Haruki Murakami recently." "No, we're born useless. Only entertainment can make us not want to die." "Useless? You're indeed useless." "Aha, Miki, my Miki, you must not have seen Selena's Long Journey into Night! I mean, I'm at the Waterway Bridge with the 3 sparrows on the telephone pole. Wait for me there." Hanging up the phone, Toru Watanabe turned around, walked into the warm Excelsior coffee shop, and ordered a latte. When he rejected the invitation of 1 wave of female middle school students, 3 waves of female high school students, 2 waves of female university students, and possibly society people, Miki Kujo called him to go out. The luxury car parked on the side of the road was eye-catching. Without waiting for Toru Watanabe to approach, the car door opened by itself and he sat in. Miki Kujo was dressed casually with a pair of light blue jeans, a simple white sweater, and a red baseball uniform. She had long and slender legs, a slim waist, a bulging sweater, and a small face on the white collar. She looked exquisite and noble. Some people were born different, such as Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo. Almost everyone who saw them took it for granted that they should live surrounded by flowers, bask in the most comfortable sunshine, and enjoy a life of wealth and ease. "Do you want to go somewhere?" The temperature in the car was very high. Toru Watanabe pulled off the tie on his school uniform. Miki Kujo's gaze swept past Toru Watanabe's fair neck and distinct collarbones. "Let's find a place," she said lazily. "How about a random shopping mall?" Miki Kujo nodded indifferently. About 10 minutes later, the two of them arrived at the ISE Dan store in Shinjuku. After getting out of the car and entering the store, the cold night wind made Miki Kujo frown slightly. Toru Watanabe held her in his arms and quickened his pace. As soon as they entered, they saw a long line of people buying cosmetics. The two of them weren't very interested in skincare products. Miki Kujo's skin was already the dream of those who spent a lot of money on skincare products. As for Toru Watanabe, he was a stinky man. The cosmetics company couldn't make a single cent from him. Although they weren't interested, the two of them still walked around. In a store, Toru Watanabe found an interesting facelift massager. "Can this really be used for skin care?" He picked one up and rolled the ball on top. "Maybe, I haven't used it before," Miki Kujo said with her elbows crossed. The waiter came over and recommended the 4-ball massager to Toru Watanabe, who was holding 2 balls. He also said that he would give the ball a heater to heat it up, so he could use it without any worries in winter. Toru Watanabe rolled the massager on his face, but there was no reaction. On the contrary, when he rolled his neck, it was a little interesting. "It's quite comfortable. Try it." "Take it away." Miki Kujo pushed his hand away. "I don't know who tried it. Then I'll go back and massage you with my hands. I promise it's more comfortable than this." Toru Watanabe put the massager back in place. "Is that a massage?" Miki Kujo looked disgusted. Toru Watanabe put his arm around her shoulder and walked to the second floor. It doesn't matter if it's a massage or not, as long as it's comfortable. He whispered in her ear with a smile. When did I say it's comfortable? Miki Kujo leaned into his arms. Mikey Jejie's troublesome level has reached a new level today. I told you before, you're not allowed to call me that. Okay, Miki, ne-san. Miki Kujo raised her hand and hit him in the ribs. Toru Watanabe smiled and dodged her attack. Okay, I was wrong. Miki, ne-san, I'm sorry. By the way, you're younger than me, right? 3 months and 3 days? Yes, you and someone have the same birthday. Miki Kujo said with a smile. That has nothing to do with me. Toru Watanabe was really innocent this time. The second floor mainly sold shoes. Further up, there were various luxury stores such as Dior, Chanel, Dior, Rolex, Lamer, and so on. Any random piece of clothing was priced at more than 400,000 yen. At the Saku counter, the two of them tried on the eyeshadow. Of course, it wasn't Miki Kujo who was obsessed with cleanliness, but Toru Watanabe. I don't want it. Toru Watanabe covered his eyes. Hurry up. Miki Kujo held a 4-color eyeshadow tray in her hand. I said no. I'll help you wipe it off after you try it. Miki Kujo said with a smile. I don't believe you. Look at your stupid face, come here. No matter what you say, you're not going to listen to me. Kujo was unhappy. Okay. In order to coax his girlfriend, Toru Watanabe could only sacrifice himself. He sat down opposite Miki Kujo. Be gentle, it's my first time. I'm afraid of pain. Miki Kujo gave him a kick. She didn't use a brush. Instead, she directly used her ring finger to touch some light eyeshadow and smeared it across Toru Watanabe's right eye socket from back to front. Her hand lightly smeared, her face close to his, her breath hot, and her serious and slightly mischievous smile. Toru Watanabe's heart was filled with warmth. It was as if he was soaking in a hot spring in winter. He wanted to hug Miki Kujo and sleep without doing anything. Give me some more mascara. Kujo-sama didn't want to sleep. She was having fun. After everything was over, Toru Watanabe's right eye looked slightly bigger than his left eye in the mirror. Is it beautiful? Miki Kujo asked with a smile. It's too beautiful. Toru Watanabe said perfunctorily. Can you wipe it off now? No, you're like this today. Are you lying to me? I like to tease you the most. Miki Kujo smiled very happily. At this point, Toru Watanabe could only use his trump card. Sister. Miki-sama. He tugged at the hem of Miki Kujo's baseball uniform. Miki Kujo took a deep breath and helped Toru Watanabe clean his eyeshadow. After that, they went to the basement. There was an amazing amount of food there. All kinds of skewers and food were piled up into a small hill, neatly arranged at the end. Under the bright lights, it was like a gold mine for people who liked food. It was still early when they left Ishiden. Let's go watch a movie opposite. Miki Kujo was in a good mood. There was a low-cost shopping center opposite Ishiden with 2 cinemas. When they walked over, Toru Watanabe was still hugging Miki Kujo tightly. Although it couldn't block much of the cold wind, Miki Kujo enjoyed it very much and nestled her body in Toru Watanabe's arms. There were more people in the shopping center, and most of them were young people, but there were also people in school uniforms wandering around. The temperature outside was below 0, and the female high school students' legs were bare, and the deliberately raised hemlines showed their dedication to beauty. The heater in the shopping center blew the fragrance of the dessert shop to the tip of the nose. Do you want to buy some desserts to try? Toru Watanabe said. Let's buy 2 donuts. Miki Kujo really wanted to eat something sweet now. There was a KFC at the entrance of the first floor, and there was a dessert shop next to the KFC. There was a sign at the door that said today's special: spiral bread, biscuit puffs, and cheesecake. In addition, there were special Valentine's Day products such as chocolates. The two of them walked in, and the air they smelled instantly became sweeter. There were many people in the shop, but the back of one of them immediately attracted the attention of the customers. It was a beautiful girl wearing a long white trench coat and a handsome scarf. She was holding her chin with her hand and was thinking in front of the glass counter. Her shiny black hair, her small face that was as lovely as a flower, and her presence that couldn't be ignored. Except for Rin Kiyono, there was no one else. "You knew she was here?" Miki Kujo turned her head and asked Toru Watanabe. "Your driver chose Ishiden, and you said you wanted to watch the movie." While the two of them were talking, Rin Kiyono turned around. Before she spoke, she looked at Toru Watanabe and blinked twice, then immediately returned to her usual expression. "Ah, what a coincidence." She smiled and greeted him. Miki Kujo snorted, "Tokyo isn't big, but it's not small either. Why do I run into you everywhere? I'm the one who should be surprised, right? Kujo-san isn't in Chiyoda, but why did you come to Shinjuku, and to this civilian shopping center? Isn't Ishiden across the street more suitable for you?" "We just came out of there," Toru Watanabe said. "Although we didn't buy anything, we also tried the Aishadao for free." "Are you alone?" "Only the weak come in groups." Rin Kiyono showed a sneer. "Kiyono-san, I have a question." "Ask." "What is strong? Physical strength? Intelligence?" Toru Watanabe asked her. "So." Rin Kiyono said this sentence in a tone that said, "You can submit to me." "So that's how it is." Toru Watanabe nodded. "If we're talking about the degree of narcissism, then Kiyono-san is indeed worthy of being strong." Rin Kiyono gave him a dissatisfied look. "I'm talking about the heart." "Enough." Miki Kujo's uninterested voice came, "I don't care if you're strong or not, don't hinder us from buying things." During the conversation, a few more people lined up behind the three of them. From these people's rude eyes, it could be seen that they believed that the scene just now was Toru Watanabe who trampled on two boats and was caught red-handed. Toru Watanabe was very dissatisfied with this. He was a great and amazing person. Even if Rin Kiyono was so perfect that it was almost impossible to refuse, he still didn't do something that made people envious and disdainful. Some people just like to impose their own imagination on others, regardless of what others think. "Ah, I'm alive. It's too cold outside. My face is frozen. Kue, what time is the movie?" 8:30, there's still 40 minutes left, should we walk around? "Okay. I remember that there's a dessert shop on the first floor, maybe there's high-quality chocolate on sale today, let's go and have a look." The voices were getting closer and closer, and then they met. Kiyono-san, Kujo-san, Kuen Watanabe-san? So you guys have plans tonight, no wonder you didn't come with us." Toru Watanabe looked at my Asahi and said to the unimportant trio, "Tokyo isn't big, but it's not small either, what a coincidence to meet you guys." "It must be fate." Aoi Ichiki laughed happily. Miki Kujo began to frown. Toru Watanabe whispered in her ear, "I told you that this guy likes girls, be careful of her." Miki Kujo looked at Aoi Ichiki and vaguely remembered such a thing, but she wasn't interested in these unimportant people, so she couldn't remember clearly. "Kiyono-san," Yoshimi Tamamo took 2 steps forward. "Do you want to go to the movies together later?" "No, thank you." Rin Kiyono rejected, then said to the shop assistant, "Please give me a donut." 3. Toru Watanabe added. The shop assistant looked at Toru Watanabe, then at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono sighed, 3 donuts, thank you." "Okay, please wait a moment." After buying the desserts, the 3 of them went outside the shop. A love song contest was being held in the atrium of the shopping center. Couples only needed to sing a song on stage to receive a free chocolate coupon. Toru Watanabe listened to the song that was not good, but not bad either, and took a bite of the donut that Rin Kiyono bought. Under the crust, the sugar solidified like snow and was very sweet. Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo were also eating. Both of them were holding donuts with one hand, and both of them were using their left hands, and the size of their bites was almost the same. This might be a coincidence, but it made Toru Watanabe think about their complicated relationship. Miki Kujo, who hated physical contact, took the initiative to press Rin Kiyono down on her bed during the winter camping trip. What about Rin Kiyono? This untouchable flower who never talked nonsense with anyone, except for Toru Watanabe. Once she started arguing with Miki Kujo, it seemed that there was no end to it. With their intelligence, they must have realized that each other was special to them. So, did they not care, or were they used to it, or had they reached a tacit understanding of, although they hated each other, they recognized each other? Kiyono-san, what are you going to do next? Toru Watanabe finished the last bite of his donut and crumpled the white paper bag into a ball. What about you guys? Rin Kiyono's donut was still more than half left. She had been eating very slowly. She ate very little with each bite and chewed a lot. We're going to watch a movie, Toru Watanabe answered. Then I'll go too. Ha! Toru Watanabe was slightly stunned. Just now, Aoi Ichiki and the others invited you, but you didn't agree. Now that you're going with us, wouldn't it be bad? The moment he asked without thinking, Toru Watanabe knew that he was going to be scolded again. Rin Kiyono never cared about what others thought of her, she only cared about herself. Watanabe-san, your memory. I know, I'm a chicken, okay? Toru Watanabe interrupted her before she could finish. In Japan, a chicken was a metaphor for a person's poor memory. Rin Kiyono covered her mouth with her right hand and said with a smile, "You said it yourself." He obviously wanted to say something more outrageous, but he showed such an attitude, it was really annoying. She couldn't stand it. Are you going to watch the same movie as us? Toru Watanabe asked. Of course. Rin Kiyono took a bite of her donut. Don't you welcome me? The movie theater is not owned by my family. You can go if you want. Toru Watanabe turned to Miki Kujo and asked, Miki, what about you? Miki Kujo glanced at Rin Kiyono and said to Toru Watanabe, as long as she sits with me. You two are so close. Toru Watanabe said enviously. Huh? Miki Kujo laughed disdainfully. If you want to be close, it's not impossible, you just have to make her kneel down and lick my feet. Only a pervert would do such a thing. Only Toru Watanabe-san would do it, right? Rin Kiyono replied with a cold expression, I'm gentler than Kujo-san. As long as you write a 10,000-word self-reflection and call me Big Sister, I'll reluctantly be close to you. Self-reflection? Big Sister? Who would do such a useless thing other than Watanabe? Hey, you two are actually working together to scold me. The two girls snorted at the same time. Then, because of this, their expressions became even uglier, so they went to eat their donuts at the same time. Then, they stopped eating at the same time. The situation was complicated, wonderful, and fun. Unfortunately, Toru Watanabe laughed halfway through and was stepped on by Miki Kujo, so he didn't get to see the whole thing. While the two girls were arguing, Aoi Ichiki and the other girls walked out. Kun Watanabe, what are you guys going to do later? Aoi Ichiki asked while holding a bag of chocolates. Watch a movie. Is it Kadokawa Cinema? Yes. We're going too. What's the name of the movie? What time is it? The Earth stopped spinning 365 days. 9:15. That's great. We're going to watch that romance movie too. It's the same time. I hope our seats are close to each other. At this time, Toru Watanabe and Mayasahi looked at each other. With Miki Kujo around, she wouldn't show any abnormalities, but in the dark theater, to be honest, Toru Watanabe didn't believe in Mai's willpower. Wait, Toru Watanabe realized that he had overlooked a very important question. The Earth stopped spinning 365 days is a romance movie? Not a sci-fi movie? Chapter 225. 1, 2, 3. 6 girls and 1 boy. The air was filled with a sweet fragrance. Kun Watanabe, it seems like a lot of people will give you chocolates this Valentine's Day. Aoi Ichiki turned around and said to Toru Watanabe, Seems like it. Toru Watanabe never took the initiative to brag about everything he had, but he also wouldn't deny it, but I only accept righteous chocolates. After all, You already have a girlfriend. Alright, I'll also give you righteous chocolates. Thank you. You're welcome. After all, for boys, the amount of chocolates they receive is quite important, right? Why? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. Humph. Yoshimi Tamamo, who was unhappy with Toru Watanabe, spoke up. Boys are such boring creatures. Don't they just like to show off how many girlfriends they have and how much chocolates they received? There are indeed such people. Toru Watanabe agreed. But in this aspect, both men and women were the same. Scum didn't care about gender. However, showing off the amount of chocolates they received shouldn't be considered scum. That's why, the more chocolates you receive, the more popular you are. Aoi Ichiki said while wagging her right index finger. Although they didn't say anything, Toru Watanabe could feel the disdain from the two girls. Some things didn't need to be proven. The only people who could be more popular than them were themselves. This was also the reason why Rin Kiyono didn't boast about her beauty in front of others. Toru Watanabe turned to Rin Kiyono and said, Kiyono-san, I remembered something. What is it? It happened last May. Toru Watanabe smiled and looked at Miki Kujo, the day after you took me to Shun Tian Tian Hospital. Miki Kujo remembered what happened at that time. At that time, he had clearly treated Toru Watanabe as a rare toy and would have gotten rid of him when he was bored. Why was it that he was the one who got rid of him today when there were still 3 months left before a year? Although Toru Watanabe would still lick her feet, it was only limited to the bed. In bed, the one who was licked was in a weaker position. Miki Kujo was wondering if she should let Toru Watanabe lick her under the bed tonight when she heard him continue. I went to the toilet and happened to bump into Kiyono classmate, who was still on bad terms with me back then. It's not bad. Last May, I didn't care about you at all, so I wouldn't have any feelings for you. Rin Kiyono corrected her. Yes, you're only mean to Miki. Rin Kiyono glared at Toru Watanabe. I know what you want to say, but there's no need to say it. It's boring. Continue. Miki Kujo ordered. Miki told me to say it. Toru Watanabe indicated that he was innocent. You wanted to say it yourself, right? Stop looking for excuses. Rin Kiyono knew this fickle man very well. So what if I did? Ashino-san, I remember every single word you said to me with your venomous tongue. When I write my autobiography in the future, I'll definitely write them all down. As mentioned before, Toru Watanabe was a person with a delicate mind. Ah, Rin Kiyono wasn't angry. Instead, she laughed. You remember every single word I said. Miki Kujo looked at him. Miki, don't listen to her nonsense, I'm just holding a grudge. Toru Watanabe defended himself. You're holding a grudge. Miki Kujo also laughed. No, Miki, let me explain. What I mean is... What do you mean? In the future, when I write my autobiography, I'll write about our love story. Toru Watanabe always believed that instead of explaining, it was better to increase a girl's trust in him and let the misunderstanding be resolved. Then will I appear? Aoi Ichiki asked. Of course, an autobiography is about authenticity. When Kun Watanabe becomes famous, his autobiography will definitely be passed down, and everyone will always remember that there was a girl called Aoi Ichiki. Aoi Ichiki began to imagine the future. Authenticity? I'm looking forward to your autobiography, Miki Kujo said to Toru Watanabe with a smile. Miki-san, what do you mean, do you want it to be authentic or not? Of course it has to be authentic. Write down what you think and what you think of everyone. Miki Kujo instructed. I'm also looking forward to it. Rin Kiyono also smiled. She felt like it wasn't an autobiography, but a confession. Toru Watanabe decided that even if he wrote his autobiography in the future, he would try his best to only describe objective facts, and never write about his thoughts. After chatting for a while, they arrived at the 3rd floor and saw a long line in front of the cinema. Miki, I'll go buy some cola and popcorn. Okay. I want a small portion. Rin Kiyono didn't hold back at all as she made her request. Miki Kujo turned to her. Don't you have legs? Not only have they grown, but they're also prettier than you. Rin Kiyono calmly replied. With your A-cup size? Kujo-san, playing to your strengths and avoiding your weaknesses and changing the topic is a sign of admitting defeat. The clothes you wear at my house and the bra size are still from 2 years ago. Even though the seasons have changed twice, you haven't changed at all. Miki Kujo-san. Stop talking. Toru Watanabe had a pained expression. Kiyono-san, I'll buy you anything. You're only 16 years old, it's far from time to give up. Is that so? Rin Kiyono smiled gently, but her voice was cold and cruel. Then I want 1,400 grams of your brain. I'll go buy some popcorn. Toru Watanabe turned around and left. The average human brain weighed about 1,400 grams. Even if he was extremely smart, he would probably only have a little over 2,000 grams. How could he give her 1,400 grams? Senpai, it's so beautiful, I'll go buy it for you. Aoi Ichiki followed. After watching the two leave, Yoshimi Tamamo walked to Rin Kiyono. Kiyono-san. Tamamo-san, is there something you need? Rin Kiyono's tone had already returned to normal. What happened in May last year? I really want to know. Kiyono-san, don't worry, I definitely won't laugh at you, and I won't tell anyone. It's just a small matter. Tamamo-san, if you want to know, you can wait for Watanabe-san's autobiography. But he's only 16 years old. Yoshimi Tamamo pointed at Toru Watanabe, who was in line. According to the average life expectancy published by the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, women have an average life expectancy of 26 years, and men have an average life expectancy of 9 years. Tamamo-san, you don't need to worry too much. After buying the popcorn, it was time to enter. Toru Watanabe's group of 3 didn't have good seats, so they could only sit in the last row because they bought tickets at the last minute. Mayasahi's group had bought their tickets in advance, and although their seats weren't the best, they were close to the best viewing area. Toru Watanabe gave Miki Kujo his school jacket as a cushion for the red seats. The movie was about to start, and only the 3 of them were in the last row. Just as the movie started to play an advertisement forbidding secretly recording, and Miss Kiyono was about to ritualistically enjoy her popcorn, 3 people hurriedly entered the theater. They didn't look at the tickets in their hands and directly walked to Toru Watanabe's seat in the last row. I already told you not to drive, there's definitely going to be a traffic jam at this time. I miscalculated. Okay, don't disturb others, hurry up and sit down. Watanabe. Tokyo isn't big, but it's not small either, why? Before Toru Watanabe could finish his line, the movie suddenly turned up the volume, and Aona Koizumi hurriedly sat down next to Toru Watanabe. This wasn't the end of it, as the moment the 3 teachers sat down, there was a small commotion in front of them. Aoi Ichiki's group held their bags and popcorn as they walked over while apologizing to the people around them. Toru Watanabe gave them a puzzled look. It's more interesting to watch it together. Aoi Ichiki explained. While she was explaining, Mayasahi stared straight at Aona Koizumi. What's wrong, Natsuki? Aona Koizumi felt uncomfortable under her emotionless stare. Nothing. You guys. Miki Kujo, whose line of sight was blocked, glared at them fiercely. Senpai, let's sit down. Aoi Ichiki pulled Mayasahi, who was still staring at Aona Koizumi, and quickly sat down. Okay, finally, they could start watching the movie. Toru Watanabe popped a piece of popcorn into his mouth, ready to watch how 365 Days After the Earth Stopped Spinning became a romance movie. His hand subconsciously rested on the armrest on the side away from Miki Kujo. However, what came from his hand was not the firm feeling of the armrest. Instead, it was soft. Toru Watanabe and Aona Koizumi retracted their arms at the same time. Toru Watanabe made a teacher, please gesture, and Aona Koizumi returned a student, please gesture. Then, Toru Watanabe ignored the armrest. Aona Koizumi also had her own persistence. The armrest was pitifully put aside. The movie officially started. The first scene was about a young boy who got into a car accident while trying to save an old man. The young boy was a senior high school student. On the first day of the new semester, he encountered such an accident and had to take a year off from school. The young boy's family was poor. His single father raised him, and all the subsidies he received were used to drink. The young boy himself was basically an undisciplined and rotten person. Ear-piercing, drinking, smoking, he did all the things that minors shouldn't do. That day, his body reacted faster than his brain to save the old man, so he did things that he would never do normally. After a simple background introduction, the movie officially started. In the new year, it was time for the young boy to re-enter school. His grades were already bad, so he simply gave up and didn't report to school. Instead, he went to the arcade all day to cheat the children of their pocket money. At this time, the senior high school homeroom teacher appeared. She was obviously a very good-looking young girl, but in the movie, she was an old-fashioned and unfeminine auntie. She persuaded the young boy, played games with him, and even waited at his door, begging him to go back to school. After 4 months, the young boy turned a blind eye to the teacher, thinking that she was only doing it for his performance and the teacher's reputation. At the beginning of May, the young boy's father fell down the stairs after drinking and was hospitalized. The teacher paid a large sum of money for him. The next day, the young boy came back from the arcade. The teacher was still waiting at his door, but the high-class lunch she usually ate was replaced with rice balls. The young boy entered the house, separated from the teacher by his own door, and made up his mind to go back to school. This teacher is really amazing. Seeing this, Toru Watanabe whispered to Aona Koizumi. Yes. Aona Koizumi was already moved to tears. The students can be willful, but the teacher can't. Even if you can't make all the students like you, you can't make any students hate you. Because there really are students who hate this subject because they hate the teacher. Was the last part about her personal professional integrity? It seemed to resonate. The movie continued. When the young boy returned to school, he encountered all kinds of problems, such as being ostracized by his classmates, being looked down on by the teaching director, and wanting to force him to drop out of school. Under the teacher's persistent guidance, the young boy decided to teach those who looked down on him a lesson. He wanted to be admitted to Nagoya University. The next step was to study hard, and the teacher also tried her best to guide him. There were setbacks, but there was progress. The teacher and the teacher gradually became friends, singing and drinking together on the street at night. Looking at the teacher drunk, with her hair loose, cursing the leader and her ex-boyfriend, the young boy was suddenly moved. The young boy fell in love with the teacher. Yes, in love. The young boy began to study harder. He wanted to be a man worthy of the teacher. In December, after a mock exam, the young boy's grades reached the admission line of Nagoya University for the first time. He excitedly ran to the teacher's house, ready to tell her the good news. There, he saw the old man whom he had saved. The old woman turned out to be the teacher's mother. It turned out that everything the teacher did for him was to repay the kindness. The so-called feelings were all fake. The young boy dropped out of school again. At the end of December, the young boy had already wasted a month of study time. The teacher cried in front of his door, begging him to continue to study. After the accident, the young boy's father also quit drinking and found a job. He tried to persuade the young boy, but the young boy said, "What qualifications do you have to care about me?" And he was speechless, sitting there silently. On December 31st, New Year's Eve, it was snowing, but the teacher still came to the young boy's door after work. She had already said what she wanted to say, so she could only stand there silently. When the New Year's bell rang, the young boy walked out of the door and said to the teacher, "If the teacher agrees to be with me, I will continue to study." The teacher froze for a moment, but for the sake of the young boy, she agreed. Aonai, Guangzi lowered his upper body and said to Koizumi Aonai, who was watching attentively, "If that kid Watanabe uses this method to threaten you, will you agree?" How could Watanabe do such a thing? Aona Koizumi pushed her away. Suppose he did. What would you do? Guangzi came over with a mischievous smile. Then Then what? Don't assume all day, just watch the movie. The young boy began to study again. There was still a month and a half before the entrance exam of Nagoya University, so he must do his best. The young boy did do so, but in addition to studying, he put forward other demands with a vengeful mentality. Let the teacher perform the duties of a girlfriend. From touching her hand to smelling the fragrance of the teacher's neck, there was even a scene where the teacher helped him vent with her hand, only the upper body. In the end, the teacher wiped her hand with a tissue. The atmosphere became awkward. Toru Watanabe looked to the left. Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono were already asleep. The values of this movie seriously conflicted with them, and the inexplicable emotional change of the young boy was simply inexplicable to them. Toru Watanabe looked to the right again. Aona Koizumi didn't know where to look. She lowered her head for a while, then remembered that she was looking at the screen like watching a movie, and then peeked to see if Toru Watanabe was still looking at her. On the screen, the young boy was in the classroom with the teacher, doing something with a painful expression, but also seemed to be very happy. There was still no specific shot, only a close-up of the teacher's face. TSK, TSK, TSK. Guangzi couldn't take her eyes off the screen, and stuffed a handful of cold popcorn into her mouth. Koizumi Aonai picked up the Coke that had melted from the ice cubes. With a red face, she sucked on the straw and sipped it. At the end of the movie, the young boy was admitted to Nagoya University, but the teacher took the initiative to apply for a transfer to another school and cut off contact with the young boy. 5 years later, the teacher returned to her original school. One day, she came to the place where she used to treat the young boy to a meal. At that time, the young boy was just beginning to work hard, and his academic level was only at the 3rd grade. In the restaurant, the young boy was eating with his friends. She turned around to leave, but the young boy who had become a lawyer naturally greeted her. It seemed that the young boy had forgotten the past and started a new life. She forced herself to greet the young boy naturally, pretending that she didn't like the restaurant, and prepared to leave. The young boy walked over, pulled her to the table, and gave her a bowl and chopsticks. "Who is this?" the young boy's lawyer friend asked. "My girlfriend," the young boy answered naturally. "Really? Haven't you been single for 5 years? How come you suddenly have a girlfriend?" The young boy's friend found it unbelievable. "You can ask her," the young boy said with a smile. Everyone looked at the teacher expectantly. In front of the camera, the teacher nodded shyly. In the midst of the uproar, the list of staff members began to appear on the screen. I thought it was going to be a movie about studying hard, but it turned out to be a teacher-student romance. Guangzi sighed. Getting admitted to Nagoya University in 1 year, and it's a law student, too fake. Miyazaki Miyuki shook her head. Aona Koizumi didn't speak, still sucking on her straw, even though the Coke in her cup was already gone. Toru Watanabe glanced at her from time to time. The last row of the movie didn't leave the theater until the movie ended. Almost all the girls went to the bathroom. Toru Watanabe stayed where he was, thinking about the relationship between the name "The Earth Stopped Spinning 365 Days" and the content of the movie. The young boy was suspended from school for a year? A year with the teacher? He couldn't guess what the director was thinking. Toru Watanabe gave up thinking, raised his head and moved his neck, just in time to see Aona Koizumi coming out of the bathroom. The two looked at each other, then Aona Koizumi turned around and walked back to the bathroom. Watching this kind of movie with the teacher was indeed a bit awkward, but it wasn't to that extent, right? When Guangzi asked Aona Koizumi the question, Toru Watanabe also heard it. Looking at the situation, if he really did that, the probability of Aona Koizumi agreeing was very high. However, no matter what happened, he wouldn't do anything to threaten Aona Koizumi. However, some things were more absurd than the movie, but they were actually about to happen. In the near future. Chapter 226. February 12th. Saturday. Toru Watanabe came back from his night in Chiyoda and met Aona Koizumi, who was about to go out in the living room on the first floor of the apartment. "Good morning, Sensei Koizumi." "Good morning." Aona Koizumi was no longer embarrassed from yesterday's movie. Did you just come back from your morning exercise? Toru Watanabe was silent for 2 seconds and nodded. Yes, I just came back from my morning exercise. After saying that, he asked curiously, why is teacher alone? Where are Sensei Huang Zi and Sensei Miyazaki? As long as they went out, the 3 female teachers were almost always together. They're off today and still sleeping. I'm going to the school to set up the exam venue for tomorrow's entrance exam. Aona Koizumi explained. No wonder their annual income is 6 million yuan and you're 10 million yuan. Aona Koizumi laughed. There's not much money for doing this kind of hard work. It's all thanks to Watanabe that you're number 1 in the country. No. Toru Watanabe said modestly, I was able to get number 1 because you taught me well. You've always gotten full marks in English. I didn't teach you. Sensei, you're so good looking. Just thinking about you gives me the motivation to go to school in winter. You mean, as a teacher, I only have good looks? Aona Koizumi deliberately tightened her face. Yes, that's why I like you the most, Sensei Koizumi. This was Toru Watanabe's catchphrase. Aona Koizumi had heard it many times. She should have been used to it, but the ambiguous scene of the teacher and student in the movie last night appeared in her mind and made her blush. Don't talk nonsense, she reprimanded. Her tone was like a spoiled girlfriend. Aona Koizumi also realized that something was wrong. She adjusted the shoulder strap of her bag and changed the topic. You're free today. Do you want to come and help? Sure. How much is it per hour? The 2 of them walked towards the apartment's parking lot. Do I have to pay? Aona Koizumi asked with a smile. Of course. By the way, this year is different from previous years. The minimum hourly wage has increased to 985 yuan. So expensive. Miss Koizumi, you're a rich woman from Shinjuku with an annual salary of tens of millions. You don't have to bargain with the students who are working hard. We're already offering our services. A door-to-door service? What kind of part-time job are you doing? You don't learn well. I'm talking about the moving company. The 2 got into the car, fastened their seatbelts, and drove to Kanagawa High School. The sky in front of the windshield was blue and the sun was unbelievably bright. When Aona Koizumi was driving, she was focused on her surroundings. Toru Watanabe put his hands behind his head. The glass blocked the cold wind, and the winter sun made him sleepy. Music was playing in the car. Toru Watanabe did not ask Aona Koizumi for the title of the song. Because the sun was too bright, he could only remember the lyrics after listening to it once. And the shop that I often go to after school, the dessert shop that I always visit. And the endless nagging, the morning of being scolded. Unknowingly, time passed. Today is the day of graduation. He only remembered these few lines. When they arrived at the school, they got out of the car. The parking lot that was usually filled with bicycles was empty, except for 2 or 3 bicycles. There were few cars, but there were many people in the school. 3rd grade students from various schools, wearing various uniforms, came to visit the examination hall. They looked young, excited, expectant, and anxious. Toru Watanabe looked at these people. Although they were only 1 year away from the 1st grade, they looked much younger. He did not say that Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo were old. These middle school students were too young. Toru Watanabe was also not Humbert. He was not interested in the 12-year-old Lorita. Last year on this day, Watanabe, you were also in the crowd. Aona Koizumi said with a smile. Yes. Toru Watanabe nodded. That was the first time he came to Tokyo. Now that a year had passed, he had not become the most handsome guy in Tokyo. Every day, he spent his days in the human observation department, scheming against the 2 beautiful girls. The 2 of them walked to the school building and entered the teacher's office. On Saturday, there was only the history teacher of the 3rd class in the office. He was instructing 2 students from the 3rd class. When Aona Koizumi was watering the succulents on the table, Toru Watanabe looked over. The 2 students were the blackboard eraser couple from the 3rd class. Could it be that these two fellows were pretending to help and were actually here for a date? Aona Koizumi and Toru Watanabe split the work while she went to check the examination hall. The desks were already set up by the students after school on Friday. She had to check again to see if the positions were correct and if there were any textbooks left behind. Toru Watanabe went around the school to set up road signs. The next person to appear was not important. However, because of her, Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono's high school life became more interesting. Therefore, it was better to introduce her in a grand manner. At that time, Toru Watanabe placed the no entry road sign in front of the club building. He was walking along the corridor between the club building and the school building. There was a petite, slim girl with short hair. She was wearing a white sailor suit and leather shoes. She walked past him briskly. Senior. Toru Watanabe, who was holding the road sign of Exam Hall F, did not stop walking. No one had ever called him senior. Before he came to Tokyo, even his first-year sister called him Archer. If she had called him handsome at that time, Toru Watanabe would have stopped immediately to see if she was calling him. He still had this self-awareness. Watanabe, senpai. This time, Toru Watanabe stopped and looked back. It was obvious that he only needed to walk 2 steps, but the short-haired girl ran over. Watanabe, senpai. It's me. It's me. Me? Who am I? Genki desu. The girl's right foot, which was wearing a pair of leather shoes, was on the ground. Her upper body leaned forward slightly, and her right hand made a peace sign over her right eye. I like Sanaido. Thank you. Goodbye. Toru Watanabe turned around. Wait a minute. Please wait a minute. The girl ran in front of Toru Watanabe. Senior, I'm Horikita Masanori. Sakamoto Masanori. Horikita Masanori. Horikita Masanori. Although it's good to be an artist in the future, I'm Horikita Masanori. Sorry, I don't know anyone named Horikita Masanori. How could that be? Horikita Masanori said subconsciously, and then remembered something. I almost forgot. Senpai doesn't know me yet. Future person. Esper desu. Sorry, I'm not interested in aliens, future people, or espers. I only like ordinary people. Toru Watanabe took a step forward. Horikita Masanori hurriedly followed and surrounded Toru Watanabe like a sparrow. Watanabe, senpai, I'm your biggest fan. I don't have any fans. Senpai, don't you know? You have many, many fans. Everyone follows you from various channels. Let me introduce myself. I watched Senpai's music competition and was attracted to Senpai. You're so noisy. My mother said the same thing about me. Hee you. Forget it. Toru Watanabe decided not to swear. Even though it was just a comment, it probably didn't count as cursing. Senpai, I got into Kanagawa High School because of you. That's not necessary. Senpai, is the atmosphere in the music club good? Will you bully the newcomers? Yes. Really? Then Senpai will definitely protect me, right? I'm the one who bullies others. Is it because Senpai's skill level is too high, so you're harsh on the members? Yep, it's okay. Even though I'm small, my willpower is super strong. Senpai, please train me to your heart's content. Horikita-san. Horikita-san. Masanori Tojo introduced herself again. Senpai can just call me Masanori. I've already quit the music club. Why? The two of them kept walking. For every step Toru Watanabe took, the girl took 2 or 3 steps. This year, my motorcycle was tampered with by a guy who was jealous of my talent, and I was involved in an accident. My left hand was injured because of it, and my dream of becoming an oboe player was shattered. Masanori Horikita was so scared that she stopped walking. Then she realized that she had been tricked and immediately followed. You're just like Naoya Kaimito. Senpai, I'll avenge you. She chattered like a lively little bird. Naoya Kaimito. The girl ran in front of Toru Watanabe and turned around like a handsome guy in a shoujo manga, facing Toru Watanabe. She spread her legs apart, and her right hand first drew a circle around her slender waist, and then her palm was facing upwards, like a concave shape stretching straight towards Watanabe Tsutomu. I'll never forgive the guys who hurt senpai. Transform. Toru Watanabe stopped walking. What did you say your name was? Horikita-san. Horikita-san, if you get into Kamigawa, you'll be my little brother. Yes. Please rest assured, senpai. The short-haired female junior high school student was obviously very energetic, but it looked funny as she saluted. After separating from the girl named Masanori Horikita, Toru Watanabe finished the rest of the road signs. At noon, Aona Koizumi invited him to eat at a restaurant near the school. The restaurant was a little expensive, and the nearby students didn't often come here. There was relaxing pure music playing in the restaurant. The two sat down by the window. Toru Watanabe saw that there were green pepper shredded pork and other Chinese dishes, so he ordered two. Aona Koizumi ordered spaghetti. Senpai, when is the third grade graduation ceremony? Toru Watanabe asked. The specific day hasn't been decided yet, but it's about a day in the second week of March. In other words, my Asahi will move to Shinano on a day in the second week of March. After eating, Koizumi Aonai ordered coffee for the two of them. Do you need help tomorrow? Toru Watanabe added half a spoonful of sugar to the coffee. I need someone at the door of the classroom to deal with unexpected situations. Are you willing to do it? If you invite me to dinner. It's my first time eating alone with a boy. Under the sunlight outside the window, Aona Koizumi's smile looked charming. After saying this, Aona Koizumi felt that it was inappropriate, but the words were already out of his mouth, so he could only drink coffee to ease the awkwardness. I rarely eat alone with girls. The girls in the school invited me, but I didn't agree. Toru Watanabe looked clean. Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe with amusement. How are things with Kiyono and Kujo recently? Pretty good. The two of them like to bully me together. Toru Watanabe took a sip of his coffee. It was still slightly bitter, but it was starting to taste sweet. It had a different flavor to it, so he didn't dislike it. After watching yesterday's movie, Aona Koizumi instinctively associated bullying with that. She was very concerned about whether or not Toru Watanabe really did that, but she resisted the urge to ask. The two of them rested for a while before they paid the bill and left. February 13th. Sunday. Masanori Horikita turned off her alarm before it went off. After changing into her school uniform, she heard her mother's voice as she was brushing her teeth and washing her face. Masanori, breakfast is ready. Coming. For breakfast, she had fried eggs, toast, salad, and a glass of milk. She ate at the dining table while her mother helped her check her admission ticket and stationery again. She also prepared a jacket, scarf, and gloves for her. Mom, I'm leaving. Good luck, Masanori. Yep, I'll definitely pass. She rushed out of the house with her backpack and jumped onto the tram that was about to close. The tram screen broadcasted news related to exams from all over the country. It was snowing heavily in Kamakura, so the tram was delayed. In front of the camera, the third-year high school students who were preparing to take the exam were either praying with their eyes closed, looking desperate, or anxiously calling someone. Next stop, Shiya Station. Shiya Station. After leaving the station, the ramp leading to East Kyoto Kamigawa Private High School was filled with students wearing various uniforms. At the beginning of the ramp, there was a small bicycle repair shop. At the door, Masanori Horikita found her good friend from school. Hishai-chan. She waved while looking left and right. After confirming that the road was safe, she ran over. Hishai-chan, good morning. Lina greeted her in a very ladylike manner. Good morning. I'm sorry I'm late. It's okay, it's still early. Did you bring everything? You didn't leave anything behind, right? Of course. Masanori Horikita patted her backpack. Please believe in my mom. The two of them went up the ramp and walked into Kanagawa High School, bypassing the 20-meter-tall oak tree that looked like a small hill. This tree is so big. I really want to see what it looks like in the summer. Then let's work hard together. Yeah. And I've already made an appointment with Watanabe, senpai. We have to get in. Hishai-chan is really infatuated with Watanabe, senpai. Of course. Hishai-chan, you don't know how good Watanabe, senpai is because you don't know how good he is. Why don't you join the playing club as well? We'll become the beautiful girls of the playing club together. Masanori Horikita struck a classic pose of the moon transformation. Her figure, if placed in anime, would indeed be as slender as a beautiful girl. In the school, the male middle school students who were hiding in their scarves glanced at them from the corner of their eyes. Hishai-chan, you're almost in high school. If you keep acting like this, you might be hated by Watanabe, senpai. Really? The two of them were on different floors and separated in the stairwell. Masanori Horikita walked into the classroom of class 3-1 and sat in the second-to-last seat in the last row. Hishai-chan, you're really the main character. You'll definitely do well in the exam. Kazuho Linnaeus went up to the third floor, which was the floor of the first year. It was clearly a serious exam venue, but there was noise in the corridor. From class 1 to 2 and 3's classroom doors and windows, people poked their heads out and looked at class 4-1. There were also people who didn't enter the exam hall. They stood in the corridor and chatted with their friends, but they were also looking at class 4-1. Kazuho Linnaeus looked over curiously. It was a scene that left a deep impression on her, one that she would still remember many years later. In the corridor filled with sunlight, a boy wearing a Kanagawa High School uniform with his lapels unbuttoned placed a set of tables and chairs in front of class 4-1's classroom. There was nothing on the table. The sun shone on the boy's handsome face as he quietly read a book by himself. After the exam in the morning, Kazuho Linnaeus met up with Masanori Horikita and had lunch in a nearby family restaurant. Hishai-chan. Yes. Masanori Horikita ate with a spoon. I saw Watanabe, senpai today. Really? Where? When? He seems to be a staff member on the third floor. He's there to deal with emergencies. Ah, why am I on the first floor? Masanori Horikita angrily ate a big mouthful of buffet. Well, Kazuho Linnaeus hesitated a little. I heard that Watanabe, senpai seems to have a girlfriend. This was what she heard from others in the exam hall in the morning. Before this, Masanori Horikita showed her a photo of Toru Watanabe and let her listen to Toru Watanabe's oboe. He was indeed very powerful and very handsome, but she didn't like to chase after stars, so she didn't feel anything. However, the shining Watanabe, senpai was sitting outside the exam hall just now. As long as she passed the exam, she would be in the same school and join the same club as him. Realizing this, she began to pay attention to the information about Toru Watanabe. The girls in the exam hall seemed to know him and said a lot of information about him, one of which was that he had a girlfriend. Yes, Watanabe, senpai's girlfriend is called Miki Kujo. She's a young lady from a rich family. Masanori-chan, aren't you sad? Why should I be sad? Masanori Horikita asked strangely. Don't you like Watanabe, senpai? Yes, but before I liked him, he already had a girlfriend, so my love for him is just the worship of a fan for an idol. Kazuho-chan, how about you also join the band? Let's chase after stars together. If we can pass the exam. It doesn't matter, we will definitely pass the exam. In the afternoon, after handing in the exam, Masanori Horikita picked up her school bag and quickly ran to the third floor. The stairs were full of the sound of small leather shoes. Toru Watanabe was still there. From morning to evening he sat there reading. Senpai. Watanabe. Senpai. Horikita Masanori. Toru Watanabe looked up. Horikita Masanori. Masanori Horikita habitually corrected. Senpai, if you have time, can you take me to the band? Let's talk about it after you pass the exam. Toru Watanabe put the book in the desk drawer, then moved the desk and chair to Class 2's classroom. This was Miki Kujo's desk. Chapter 227. Whether it's the exquisite or cute calendars bought in places like Harajuku Takashita or Shibuya, or the free calendars given by the shrine, they all have Valentine's Day marked under the calendar. On Monday morning, Toru Watanabe walked into the classroom. In his seat, Osamu Kanai, Keisuke Saito, and Kazumi Ikeda were still chatting with each other before the morning shift. Toru Watanabe walked to his seat and took advantage of this short time to observe the high school classroom on Valentine's Day. Almost all the boys looked restless, obviously talking loudly about the usual topics, but they seemed to be looking forward to something. The girls were also chatting and laughing nervously. Many of them were looking at him and reaching for something on their desks. It was as noisy as he imagined. Even the name of the student on duty was written in chalk in the lower right corner of the blackboard. There was also an aura of restlessness. Toru Watanabe walked to his seat, but before he sat down, Kazumi Ikeda took out a box of chocolates from her bag. "Kun Watanabe, this is for you." "Thank you." Toru Watanabe reached out to take it and sat down. "Kazumi." Osamu Kanai screamed, "It's obviously righteous chocolate. Why is Watanabe's different from ours?" "Is that so?" Toru Watanabe looked at the chocolate in his hand. It was very ordinary, a rectangular box with a blue ribbon tied on the outside. Keisuke Saito turned around and took out a similar box of chocolates from his drawer. This. He pointed to the surface of the box. "There's no blue ribbon." "Kazumi, don't tell me it's your natal chocolate?" Koishio laughed. "No. The store's packaging ribbon just ran out. I tried to give the chocolates with ribbons to girls. Watanabe is the last one. You two boys don't care about these things." The two wanted to say something, but Toru Watanabe took the lead to change the topic. "Give it to girls? Can girls give it to each other?" "Of course." Ikeda Kazumi smiled and said, "Chocolates can be given not only to boys, but also to girls. It can even be given to family members." "I received some chocolates from my mother this morning," Osamu Kanai said. "Me too. My mother and sister gave it to me." Keisuke Saito chimed in. "And it's the most casual kind. You know what I mean? It's the kind that starts with M." "What brand is it?" Just as he was trying his best to recall, 3 girls walked over. "Kun Watanabe, please accept these." The 3 of them blushed as they handed over the chocolates. The 3 of them said almost at the same time. They thought that this was a well-rehearsed performance. After regaining his senses, Toru Watanabe thanked them. "Thank you, Anya, Kobayashi, and Nakajima." "You're welcome." After the 3 of them left, Keisuke Saito said enviously, "That's great. I also want to receive chocolate from them." "What are you thinking about?" Ikeda Kazumi complained. "You don't usually have any contact with them, right?" "Watanabe's relationship with them is even more distant," Osamu Kanai said. "That's not necessarily true. Maybe in their minds, Kun Watanabe has already gone on countless dates with them." "Stop talking. This is a cruel reality. You don't have to say it out loud." Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito wailed. "But I can understand," Ikeda Kazumi comforted them. "Even if the girls haven't said a word to each other, the boys will still look forward to receiving chocolates from them." Toru Watanabe had just put the 4 boxes of chocolates into his small backpack when another girl came over. "Kun Watanabe, this." The girl lowered her head and handed over the handmade chocolates. "Mayuru-san, thank you, but my K-san only allows me to accept righteous chocolates." This is righteous chocolates. As if. Who are you trying to fool?" This was the expression on Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito's faces at that time. Since she said it was righteous chocolates, Toru Watanabe could only accept it. "Isn't the handmade righteous chocolates too heavy?" Osamu Kanai was so jealous that he gritted his teeth. It was like an ant that had found food and returned to its nest to call for help. Following that, Girls came over one after another to give Toru Watanabe chocolates. This was a bit troublesome. The morning class meeting hadn't started yet, but Toru Watanabe's backpack and desk were almost full. If the number of chocolates received was used to determine a man's level, Watanabe, you're already an emperor, Keisuke Saito said. So much chocolate. I hope you get fat after eating it, Osamu Kunai cursed. Seeing his grand occasion, the boys in the class were envious and jealous, but not many of them really hated him. Everyone in Kanagawa High School knew that Toru Watanabe never got close to girls other than Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono. They had never heard of him going shopping or karaoke with any girl on the weekend. Plus, he was obviously popular, but he was never arrogant. He talked about games and anime with the boys all day long and excelled in sports. Not only was he not hated, but he was also quite popular among the boys. But if the boys were to give him chocolates, then forget about it. Toru Watanabe tried his best and even ate an entire box before he reluctantly put the chocolates away. After the chocolates were eaten on the spot, he was teased by the girls around him and his face turned red. After Toru Watanabe finished eating, he took a sip of water to suppress the sweetness. Aona Koizumi walked in with some documents. The morning class meeting had started. Koizumi Aonai first looked around the classroom and said with a smile, "Everyone is so impatient." Everyone laughed in unison. "Let's look forward to today, but the final exam is next week." Ah, class monitor. Aona Koizumi ignored everyone's screams. "Hand out the survey forms." "Yes." The male class monitor adjusted his glasses and walked forward with Ikeda Kazumi. "This is the wish survey form for the arts and science students." Aona Koizumi said, "This is only a survey of your choice. It will be officially confirmed after the final exam. Everyone, take this opportunity to think about it. You can discuss it with your parents, classmates, and teachers. Just hand it over to me before this Friday." Aona Koizumi talked about the relevant matters on the podium. Toru Watanabe received the survey form from Ikeda Kazumi. It was said that some schools only separated the arts and science subjects in the third year of high school. Every school had a different situation. For example, some schools allowed students to skip school starting in January. Some schools allowed students to skip school starting in February. Kamigawa was in February. There was also academic pressure. Some schools were relaxed, while others were like cram schools. After class, everyone discussed the division of classes. "Kuan Watanabe, are you going to study arts or science?" Ikeda Kazumi asked. "Come with me to science." Keisuke Saito, who planned to make games in the future, said. "Then I'll go to science too." Osamu Kunai didn't care about arts or science. "Be careful about this," Toru Watanabe reminded him. "It doesn't matter. My dream is to become a professional baseball player with an annual salary of 500 million renminbi, and then marry a female voice actress. Should I be a baseball player too? Maybe I can marry Kana Hanazawa and have her sing Love Loop for me." "That's enough. She's already been married for half a year. So what? I can wait for her to divorce." "I really don't understand you. Kana Hanazawa didn't say she liked baseball, right? Unlike my Uchida Masato, who loves baseball the most. Kosue, liking baseball doesn't mean liking you. Also, whether you can become a professional baseball player is still a problem." Keisuke Saito said. "That's right." Toru Watanabe nodded. "Also, don't you think Uchida Masato's legs are very short and thick? Then who's the female voice actress with nice legs?" For some reason, the surrounding boys gathered around. "Io Toyozaki. Her canine teeth are super cute, and she has a lot of voices." A boy said. "Wait a minute." Keisuke Saito picked up Toru Watanabe's notebook and wrote something unsightly. "Toyosaki AI. 1 vote. Next. Yui Ogura. I vote for Yui Ogura." Another boy raised his hand. "Yui Ogura. No, it's Nana Mizuki." "Nana Mizuki? Don't you think she's too old? Also, Her legs aren't very good looking. I vote for Marina Inoue. Haruka Tosatsuka, I really like Asuna. Saito, vote for Reina Sakura, not only her legs are good, but her breasts are also super big. Hee. Yomubai, everyone, I like Lolis the most. When the boys were voting, some girls quietly pulled Kazumi Ikeda away. Kazumi, is Kuen Watanabe going to liberal arts or science? Miki Kujo was lying down and playing games. Her long legs under her stockings were resting on the armrest of the sofa and swaying in boredom. It was the world's most powerful hypnosis tool. Toru Watanabe's heart calmed down. Then, he discovered a fact that had unknowingly changed. The world outside the human observation department was no longer the daily life he was used to and wanted. In this club classroom, no one would give him chocolates. No one would pay attention to whether he chose to study arts or science. Appearance had no effect at all. It was only here that everyone was the same. Even if it was the VA circle or the entertainment circle, which was even more powerful than the VA circle, it was nothing to the three of them. Perhaps, even without the imperial tea, he would gradually break away from his daily life. Watanabe. Yes. Come here. Toru Watanabe closed the book, got up, walked to the sofa, and subconsciously placed his hand on Miki Kujo's slender and beautiful legs that were wrapped under her black stockings. The stockings felt amazing to the touch. Toru Watanabe recalled last Friday night. Miki Kujo's delicate snow-white body after she took off all her clothes. Her undulating breaths, and the large white bed with the wrinkled sheets. Miki Kujo took out a chocolate bar from a box on the low table in front of the sofa. Here. For me? Or Valentine's Day chocolate? For you. Miki Kujo waved her hand and swatted away Toru Watanabe's troublesome hand. If she continued to let him touch her, the warm current of love and desire in her heart would continue to exaggerate and fill her entire heart. Toru Watanabe took the chocolate bar and walked back to the beach table. Saito, the brand is called Meiji Chocolate. He answered Keisuke Saito's annoyance in his heart in the morning. Kujo-san. Rin Kiyono, who was reading, suddenly said, "The chocolate you gave to someone last time wasn't this casual. I remember that it was handmade." What? Toru Watanabe's voice was slightly louder than usual. Handmade chocolate? Miki Kujo-san? There was no way these two words could be linked together. Toru Watanabe was very happy to receive her chocolates, even if it was just a casual purchase, and it was a whole box of chocolates. But now... Miki-san, what's the matter? Toru Watanabe couldn't help but ask in a questioning tone. It's all in the past. What's there to talk about? Miki Kujo sat up and leaned against the back of the sofa. Her snow-white fingers pinched a piece of black Meiji chocolate bar. Kiyono-san, where's the chocolate you gave Watanabe? Aren't you going to take it out? Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono again. She was looking at the hardcover book in her hand. Her beautiful little face was slightly troubled. Toru Watanabe's heart was like an overturned jar of vinegar for a moment, and then like a beating drum in the next moment. For half a minute, the club's classroom was silent. Only the sound of Miki Kujo chewing on the chocolate could be heard. Looking at you, are you planning to give him your own chocolate? Miki Kujo smiled and looked at Rin Kiyono, who was holding a book but not reading it. What does it have to do with you? Rin Kiyono replied coldly. If you want to give it to him, then hurry up and do it. After all, it's not the first time you've given him chocolate. Miki Kujo put the chocolate on her tongue and rolled it into her mouth. Kiyono-san also knows how to give people chocolate. Toru Watanabe said with a forced smile. What's with that expression? Miki Kujo's smiling face suddenly turned cold. Rin Kiyono's originally cold face suddenly smiled, like the beautiful sunshine shining on a beautiful rose. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe couldn't react for a moment. Watanabe-san, Rin Kiyono said with a smile, your face looks even worse. I'm worried about the return gift for White Valentine's Day. Dozens of gifts. Do you have any objections? Lies should be enough. Rin Kiyono closed her book, picked up her bag, and took out a bag of chocolate. She looked up at Toru Watanabe and said, "For you." "Thank you." Toru Watanabe was happy, but also a little upset. He wanted to kill someone. Forget about killing someone. Rin Kiyono picked up her book and slowly exposed Toru Watanabe's inner thoughts. "I'm afraid you won't be able to do it." "Who?" "Your girlfriend." "Ah, is that so? Also, your girlfriend has only given me one before. I'm the second one again." Toru Watanabe's expression was pained. "You guys are the true love, I'm the extra." In response, Rin Kiyono said with a smile, "Watanabe-san, it's rare to see your true emotions." Miki Kujo glared at Toru Watanabe coldly. "Go to my place tonight, and do what you didn't do last time." "Miki, I'm really thinking about how to return the gift." Before he could finish, Miki Kujo had already laid back on the sofa. What he didn't do last time, Miki Kujo let him lick her legs under the bed. Toru Watanabe is a pig head, a chicken with a hopeless memory. Toru Watanabe scolded himself. Ikeda Kazumi clearly said this morning that girls can also give each other chocolate. It's just that in his 16 years of life in Shimizuwa village, there was no such thing as Valentine's Day. But why was he so happy? Chapter 228. In the winter, the school bell rang at 6 o'clock, half an hour earlier than in the summer. At 6:20, Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo walked in the empty school dormitory. The temperature was much lower than during the day. When they went downstairs and arrived at the shoe cabinet, a figure suddenly ran over. "Kuin Watanabe, please accept this." "Oh, thank you." "You're welcome." It had been 20 minutes since school ended. The music from the music section had stopped, and the unknown shouts from the sports club on the field had also stopped. He didn't expect that there would still be someone waiting for him and giving him chocolate. Miki Kujo glanced at the girl in the distance and said to Toru Watanabe, "Let's go." "Okay." Toru Watanabe put the chocolate into the bag that was about to be filled and left the school with Miki Kujo. They got into the luxurious car. 15 minutes later, they arrived at the villa in Chiyoda. In Japan, apartments were more luxurious than detached houses. But a detached house like Miki Kujo's was a different matter. Also, the Kujo's mother lived in the Kujo's main house, which occupied a large area. It was also not a detached house in the ordinary sense. The two of them ate dinner in the living room. Miki Kujo casually ate 2 mouthfuls, then left the table and went to the second floor. Toru Watanabe ate slowly. "What is this?" he asked the maid. "Mustard flour." The maid bowed and answered. "It should be a dish from early spring, right?" "Yes, it was sent from Mount Izu." "It's already spring in Mount Izu?" "It's just early spring. I heard that the cherry blossoms have already bloomed." The maid's voice was pleasant as she spoke, as if she was telling a story under the lights at night. Toru Watanabe nodded, took a bite of dried fried anchovies, and imagined the scene of early spring in Mount Izu. But all he imagined was the wilderness of Sawamura. After all, he had never been to Mount Izu. The other maids came to serve the dishes and took away the first 2 dishes. The maid took the initiative to introduce, "This is celery mixed with vinegar, and this is fried dragon sprout. These are all early spring mountain dishes served at the Izu High-Class Hot Spring Hotel." Toru Watanabe tasted it. From the corner of the living room to the kitchen, another maid came out with fresh dishes. Half an hour later, a maid came down from the second floor. She walked up to Toru Watanabe and said in a serious tone, "Young Master Watanabe, Miss asks if you finished your dinner." What were her exact words? Toru Watanabe knew his girlfriend very well. "Let me see if you're stuffed to death." The maid's expression remained unchanged. Toru Watanabe put down his chopsticks and wiped his mouth. When he got up, he said to the maid who introduced the dishes, "Please tell the chef that I like today's dishes very much." The maid bowed slightly. After eating his fill, Toru Watanabe calmed himself down and prepared to go to the second floor to face his fate. After taking a shower, Miki Kujo, who was wearing pajamas, sat on the sofa. Her seductive and elegant body leaned against the cushion calmly as she looked down at Toru Watanabe. The chest of her bathrobe was slightly open, vaguely revealing her youthful figure. The bottom of her pajamas revealed a large section of her smooth legs. "Beautiful. Come here," she ordered. The unfathomable, ever-changing, soul-stirring, sinister, and cunning charms of the 9 beauties. On the large white bed, Toru Watanabe lay on top of Miki Kujo, his head resting on her chest. Miki Kujo, with a blush on her face, reached her slender white fingers into his hair. The two of them stayed like this for a long time in silence. "Arts, science, which are you going to choose?" Toru Watanabe asked. Other than his lips, he didn't move at all, intoxicated by the touch of Miki Kujo's skin. "What about you?" Miki Kujo's voice was lazy and filled with satisfaction. When they were in bed, she was no longer a queen. The two of them talked like a couple. "Arts." Toru Watanabe wasn't sure. I'm going to study economics at Tokyo University." "Economics? You see, I won't have to work in the future. The only 4 years I have to work are the 4 years when you have children. So, shouldn't you learn something about economics? I suggest you go to the education department." Miki Kujo combed Toru Watanabe's hair. "Why? You'll be working for 4 years, but you'll be taking care of children for at least 10 years. "That makes sense." Toru Watanabe nodded, which made Miki Kujo's chest itch. "Then I'll go to the education department to provide preschool education? You don't need to take care of children." Miki Kujo said, "What kind of teachers and nannies can't we hire?" "Miki, I have something to ask you. I'm very curious." "Yes." "How do you plan to raise children in the future?" "I'll use the harshest methods for the first child. The rest is up to me." "What if the first child doesn't inherit our genes?" "It doesn't matter if he's not good-looking. If he's not smart enough, we'll have to change." "Isn't that too heartless?" "Before he realizes that he's not smart enough, he must have been forced to learn a lot by you. Learning a lot or giving up on him is all for the good of the child and the Kujo family. By the way," Miki Kujo's hand stopped. "You're not allowed to interfere in this matter. Don't be so gentle all the time. Let me decide." Yes. The 17-year-old Toru Watanabe had no sympathy for his future child. The two of them were silent for a while. "What do you think I should give for White Valentine's Day?" Toru Watanabe asked again. "The store has already thought about it for you. Choose the expensive one." "Okay." Toru Watanabe buried his face in Miki Kujo's chest, and his voice became dull. Other than deciding the second-year subjects based on arts, science, and preparation for national or private exams, there was nothing else to worry about. It was March. The weather was still cold in the morning and evening, but it was getting warmer during the day. When Toru Watanabe was running in the morning, he noticed that the peach blossoms had already bloomed. Soon, it would be the cherry blossom viewing season. After school, Miki Kujo rarely appeared in the human observation department. "Kiyono classmate, I've thought about it for more than 20 days, but I can't think of a good gift to give you in return. Can you just tell me what you want?" Rin Kiyono was reading across the beach table. "Solve your own problems. Don't ask me all the time." "But don't you think it's too sly?" Toru Watanabe said, "It's also Valentine's Day. Girls only need to give chocolates, but boys have to give all kinds of gifts in return. The complexity of the matter has nothing to do with the number of gifts. Even if it's chocolate, it has to be handmade or not. If you buy it directly, you can choose the packaging and the flavor. If it's handmade, you can simply melt it and solidify it, or add condensed milk, cocoa powder, or mustard." "Wait." Toru Watanabe raised his hand. "Mustard?" Rin Kiyono put down her book, rested her chin on her hand, and looked at him. You didn't eat it? I keep it at home. Looking at Rin Kiyono's surprised expression, Toru Watanabe asked, Is this something disgusting? Not really. It's a personal matter to treat something as a treasure. But, it's best to eat it. You said it's a treasure. How can you eat it so easily? The club classroom was silent for a moment. Watanabe classmate. Rin Kiyono wanted to say something, but stopped. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe asked. I give it to you every year. Rin Kiyono's voice was very soft. Huh? What is it? Rin Kiyono picked up a bag and stood up. I'm going to the performance club. I'll probably stay for a long time. I'll go back directly after I'm done. Remember to lock the door. Wait, you still haven't told me what you want in return. It's almost March 14th. Toru Watanabe picked up his bag and followed her. After leaving the club classroom, the cheers of the sports club and the music of the performance club could be heard faintly. The two of them walked side by side down the corridor to the music classroom on the 3rd floor. What do you want? Toru Watanabe asked. Sigh. Rin Kiyono sighed. After we're done, let's walk around the streets. If you find something I like, I'll let you buy it for me. That's good. But don't you feel disgusted if I use Mickey's money to buy you a gift? Isn't that even better? Take her things and use them on me. Chin-Yi Rin revealed a joyful smile. Ah-san. What is it? You really are a bad woman. Watanabe-san, I've told you many times that I've never been a good person. Also, I'm a girl, a beautiful girl. A beautiful girl with long hair, a cold attitude, and slender legs. She's perfect with all 4 elements. Please become my wife. What nonsense are you spouting now? Rin Kiyono frowned. It seemed that the literary student, Miss Kiyono, didn't read light novels. The well-read Kuan Watanabe. He didn't answer Arsan's question and praised himself instead. When they arrived at the performance club, Rin Kiyono had Kaoru Hayami call everyone over. Toru Watanabe leaned against the window and looked at the baseball field in the distance. The coach was yelling at a member of the club who was running the bases. Although Seiji couldn't hear him, he probably said something like, "Idiot. You idiot." Or something like that. The member of the club was used to being yelled at, and his sportswear was dirty. After looking around, the members of the performance club left the practice room and headed to the music classroom. First, they saw the flute and piccolo sections closest to the music classroom, followed by the horn section. Finally, Toru Watanabe saw the bass section. Masahi was there as well. The two of them exchanged glances, and Masahi calmly walked to his side and faced Rin Kiyono. "Senpai, why are you here?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Yimi-san asked me to coach the bass section." After saying this, Masahi seemed to feel that it was too short and cold, so she added, "She told me on the day of the movie that we'd start after the finals." "I see." Toru Watanabe nodded. "I'll come here in the future." "In the future?" "When I go to university, I'll practice here on Saturdays and Sundays. If it's the oboe section, I can coach you, senpai," Toru Watanabe said. "Yeah." Masahi nodded. After a moment of silence, she said softly, "After graduation, I'll move." "I'm really looking forward to graduation. I've never seen an official graduation ceremony before." The two of them stopped talking, and Rin Kiyono began to take turns having the other members play for her. The first member was the clarinet player. After she finished playing, the other clarinets would also record down Rin Kiyono's instructions. After she finished, Masahi continued to coach the bass section. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono ended their club activities early and prepared to buy a Valentine's Day gift. The sky was already darkening, and the streetlights and vending machines were lit up. The two of them arrived at a small street. There were residential buildings and shops on both sides of the street. Most of the windows were dark, and only a small shop in the distance had bright yellow light spilling onto the street. The entire street was dark, and the shop was like a shelter in the middle of a storm, giving people a sense of warmth. "Let's go take a look." Toru Watanabe looked at the shop. Okay. The two of them didn't deliberately chat, and only casually exchanged a few words when they thought of something or found something interesting in a nearby window. The conversation started inexplicably and ended abruptly. But the atmosphere was very relaxed, and even if one of them spoke, the other would ignore them. There weren't many people on the street, and only a middle-aged man was walking towards them from the left side of the street. He was pushing a bicycle, holding the middle of the front with one hand. The two of them approached. The shop was a very small bookstore that sold coffee and desserts, or perhaps a coffee and desserts shop that sold books. "Want to buy a book?" Toru Watanabe asked. "No, that's too good for you." Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chin and seriously pondered. Toru Watanabe was a little helpless, but also a little amused. It was rare to see Rin Kiyono like this. "What do you want?" His tone was casual, as if Rin Kiyono could have anything she wanted. "What's your return gift for Kujo-san?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Every day, I buy the prettiest roses from Daetion Flower Market and give them to her as a morning gift." "Lies. But I want this." "No." "Why?" Rin Kiyono crossed her arms and asked with a smile. "What kind of friend gives roses every day? Then put the roses in the club's classroom as a decoration." "That's fine. Watanabe-san, I'm very satisfied that you're able to insist on not giving me the roses." Rin Kiyono nodded. "You're testing your believer?" "You could say that." Rin Kiyono said, "If you directly agreed, although I would be a little disappointed." "How troublesome. Women are all like this." "Aren't you a girl? A girl isn't a girl." "You're right." Chapter 229. It was a beautiful sunny day that seemed to fill even the darkest corners with sunshine. "Hello everyone, this is Koki-chan, Koki-chan. She's actually streaming. I'm so excited. Koki-chan looks good today too." Yoshimi Tamamo looked at the comments floating past her. She swiped her card and walked out of Four Valley Station as she continued speaking. "According to our agreement, I'll be streaming a beautiful graduation ceremony today. Don't worry everyone, I've already applied for permission from the school." When she reached the uphill road, the camphor trees on both sides were lush and green. Under the sunlight, it already felt like spring. "This is the path I usually take to school. It's a bit tiring, but now it's all ready." As she spoke, someone greeted her. "Wow, you're so beautiful." It was a female classmate. Wow, Yoshimi Tamamo ignored the comments in the video and chatted with her friends. F***CK. Listening to a female high school student's chat has already healed my soul. Kanagawa High School's graduation ceremony? Isn't that a high school with an extremely high enrollment rate? Newbie. My Koki-chan is a student from Kamigawa. What newbie? Koki-chan just started streaming half a month ago, right? We're all newbies. The seniors are graduating today. Yep. We chatted for a long time in the group chat of the blowing section yesterday. There are so many people in the blowing section. Did they have time to reply to the chat in the group chat? Not everyone chatted. You know, I don't get along with the guy in the saxophone section. Ah, is it because of that incident? Those people are too strange. Don't you feel it? They're almost as annoying as Watanabe. By the way, speaking of Kuin Watanabe, did you know that he's so beautiful? He'll represent the first grade on stage to read a farewell speech. Wretch, beautiful girl vomits. My mouth is already open. You guys are so disgusting. What? My mouth is actually open too. F***CK. F***CK. You guys are really too much. She's so beautiful. She's obviously the main makeup artist. Why does she have so many male fans? They walked up the slope and entered the campus. The oak tree was 25 meters tall. It would take some time for it to bloom, probably in April when school started. Change your shoes at the shoe cabinet. Pretty girl's feet. Pretty girl's feet. Pretty girl's feet. Guys, can you go and die? Stop harassing Coco, okay? Yoshimi Tamamo took some time to look at the bullet screen and couldn't help but say, "Why are they all perverts who like feet? So disgusting. Grass. Grass. Ha ha ha." The commenter above, could it be a remnant of the previous generation? Grass. Yoshimi Tamamo spun her phone around and introduced the layout of the corridor on the first floor. It's very normal. Everyone's high school should be the same. Shoe cabinet, vending machine, bread machine. No bread maker. Our school's shoe cabinet has no door. Our school doesn't have cocoa sauce. After a brief introduction, Yoshimi Tamamo waited for her friend to change her shoes before going upstairs with her. On the wall of the stairwell, there was a poster for the recruitment of the Minister of Fine Arts. In the four corners of the poster, there were drawings of cats, dogs, giraffes, and earthworms. On the third floor, they walked into Class 1. On the blackboard, the class monitor was writing today's schedule. Gather in front of the gymnasium at 9:40. Entrance at 9:50. Exit at 11:27. This was the time of the ordinary students. The members of the blowing department had other arrangements because of their tasks. Whoa, whoa, this kind of greeting was popular among the girls. Good morning, Kiyono classmate. Good morning, Tamamo classmate. Her voice is so nice. Why is she blocking the camera at this time? I want to look at her. Kiyono classmate, I think you should take the place of the first grade to read the farewell speech. Thank you, Watanabe classmate is the best in the country. Really, except for the grades, that guy is better than Kiyono classmate in every way. A lot. No way. They chatted until 9:15, when the members of the blowing department of Class 1 left the classroom together. I'm going to the blowing department next, Yoshimi Tamamo said to the people in the live stream room. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Kamikawa Yukibu. The school that didn't even make it to the Tokyo University competition won the national gold medal last year. I've been wanting to visit it for a long time. I took the entrance exam for Kamigawa this year, but I didn't get in. Me too, there are a lot more people applying this year, and the admission process is stricter. Yoshimi Tamamo was chatting with the live stream room about last year's exam when she suddenly saw Aoi Ichiki in front of her. Hey! She shouted. Yay! Aoi Ichiki jumped and turned around. Friendship between girls was shallow and fickle, but Yoshimi Tamamo thought that she and Aoi Ichiki were really good friends. What are you doing? Aoi Ichiki pointed at Yoshimi Tamamo's phone on her selfie stick. Live stream. Live stream? Aoi Ichiki moved her face closer. YouTube live stream. Yoshimi Tamamo also moved her face closer. The two of them fixed their hair in front of the camera. Compared to the comments, the girl cared more about her image. Too close, too close. I'm so jealous of Coco-chan, her skin is so good. Many female YouTube hosts don't dare to get close to the screen even with their beauty filters on. Coco-chan didn't even put on any makeup, she's so beautiful. I can't tell that she's wearing makeup equals she's not wearing any makeup. Boys are all idiots. Kue, did you hear that the representative of the first grade is Watanabe? Of course, Watanabe-kun got first place in the country in this final exam. Humph. F*CK, how much does Coco-chan hate Kun Watanabe? She's slandering him everywhere. Is he her ex-boyfriend? Was she cheated of her feelings? Coco-chan, he doesn't love you. I love you. I envy him too. I heard that he was the one who gave my a boutonniere. Are you serious? Why? I heard from my classmates in the news department that the school invited a reporter from the Asahi Shimbun to report on the graduation ceremony. They arranged it this way for publicity. Publicity? Yes, the Asahi Shimbun will pretend to introduce this year's graduation season and remind everyone of their youth. In the end, they will inadvertently write, Kanagawa High School's graduation ceremony. The girl on the left is the third place in the country. The one who gave her a boutonniere is a first-year student and also the first place in the first grade. The world of adults is so fake. No wonder they chose Watanabe. Hey, even Senior Mai is. Oh no, I forgot that you're live streaming. Will you be in trouble if news about the school gets out? It's okay, I only have 2,000 fans. There are only 100 or so people who watch the live stream. Pitiful. Coco-chan, share more about your life. You'll become a great YouTube host. Let's do a photo shoot. I'll buy 100 copies. If there's a swimsuit, I'll buy 100 copies. I see. Alright, I'm also a YouTube host. I mainly watch video game YouTube hosts. What's your name? I'll follow you. The life of Coco-chan with the trombone. You plan to live stream for the rest of your life? How is that possible? Haven't you watched the life of Pine Nut who was despised? No. It's super good. Really? What's it about? Never give up hope in life. No matter how broken life is, you have to work hard to survive. Sounds interesting. Right? How about coming to Hao Mei's place after school today? I have a Blu-ray disc at home. Sure, do you want to buy one on the way? As they chatted, the two of them walked into the music department. There was another round of greetings. They were curious about Yoshimi Tamamo's live stream and joked with each other. Finally, when they talked about the seniors who were about to graduate, the atmosphere became sad again. Some of the more emotional girls even started crying. 9:25. Yoshimi Tamamo put her phone in her breast pocket and pointed the camera outside. Everyone took their instruments and entered the gymnasium in advance. The basketball court in the gymnasium was newly waxed, like a mirror. The words, graduation ceremony, were written on the screen on the stage. After sitting down, Yoshimi Tamamo put the trombone on her lap and took out her phone. The trombone and tuba sat at the back, next to the timpani. She stood up and aimed the camera at the entire gymnasium. Such a big gymnasium. It's comparable to 3 in our school. There's even a spot for the music department. When we graduated, because the gymnasium was too small, only 6 of the 50 people in the music department were in the gymnasium. Who cares about the gymnasium? I want to see the high school girls in the music department. Is the trumpet in front of the trombone? She looks so good from the side. At this time, people walked into the gymnasium one after another. Yoshimi Tamamo secretly aimed the camera at them. Male teachers in suits, female teachers in skirts. Male parents in suits or jackets, female parents in kimonos or skirts. The leaders sat on one side of the stage, the teachers sat on both sides of the basketball court, and the parents sat in the audience seats on the steps. That's our principal, that's the dean, that's the physical education teacher, we call him Oko-chan, and that's our class teacher, a super good art teacher. In addition to these people, there were also some middle-aged people who didn't look like parents. They were holding high-end cameras, probably the reporters from Asahi Shimbun who colluded with Kamigawa Private to write an article about the graduation season, but was actually promoting Kamigawa High School. It's about to start. It's so ceremonial. I'm thinking about graduation day again. Our school's graduation ceremony is in February. My confession failed. If there's a confession later, can Coco-chan broadcast it? A cute girl has appeared. I like this type. I also like the beautiful type. Cute is the only type you like, right? F***ck. Why is there a handsome guy? He's handsome. I'm jealous. So handsome. You girls are so disgusting. Can you not only look at the face, pay more attention to the talent? Mai Asahi, the graduation representative, and Toru Watanabe, the first grade representative, were also among the people who entered early. That guy is Watanabe, Yoshimi Tamamo whispered. He's a super scumbag. Don't talk nonsense, Oko-chan. The girl in the trumpet section turned around with a smile. If Kun Watanabe hears this, he'll scold us again. Speaking of scolding, I recently dreamed that Kun Watanabe scolded me. What did he scold you about? Why are you so cute? I fell in love with you. Let's get married. I said, no, Kun Watanabe, you're not 18 yet. Please wait until that day to propose to me. It's really a dream. I think it's just her delusion. It's not a dream. Ah, so annoying. You guys actually guessed it. I've already thought about your plot 10 times in my mind the first time I saw Kun Watanabe. 10 times? You're amazing, Yu Xiang. What's this about? I heard that Chen Chenzi from the art department drew a girl's manga based on Kun Watanabe. It's already published by Housewife and Life. Housewife and Life? It's not what you think. It's a publishing house, mainly. The girls rambled on. Toru Watanabe and my Asahi seats were close to the stage, so it was convenient for them to go up and speak later. After chatting for a while, at 9:50, the first and second years began to enter the venue. When they were seated, it was time for the third years. Everyone, let's begin. Kaoru Hayami did not take the bassoon. She was in charge today. Yoshimi Tamamo put her phone back into her pocket, revealing only the camera. She picked up the trombone on her lap. As Kaoru Hayami waved her baton, a solemn symphony slowly played. Amidst the music, the third years were divided into 2 groups and entered the venue in an orderly manner. At the entrance, they would bow to the teachers, parents, and juniors in the stadium. Then, they would walk through the long corridor formed by the juniors and come to the front of the square formation. Ah! I can't see anything. The trombone's position is too disadvantageous. I'm satisfied just by looking at his back. I want to see that handsome guy just now. It's okay. He'll go up and speak later. You'll definitely see it. Everyone sat down and the music took a break. The dean presided over the graduation process. Parents, everyone. After the long opening speech, he said, next, let's invite the representative of the first years, Toru Watanabe, to speak on stage. In the stadium, compared to the parents in the audience, the applause of the students was especially enthusiastic, especially the girls. Some parents guessed that the children had had enough of the dean's speech. Some parents guessed that this Toru Watanabe was very popular. There were also parents who guessed that the children just wanted to use the applause to make the graduation stage even grander. Following the children's gazes, a student near the stage stood up. He was slightly taller than the average male high school student and walked confidently. His footsteps were clearly not fast, but they seemed to carry the wind. His back was straight and his eyes were looking straight ahead. Occasionally, he would look around. It was like a bright ray of sunlight piercing through the dark clouds. A person like him was obviously very smart. At first glance, one could tell that a person like him was a person without any flaws. A person like him was obviously a sincere person. In addition, there was also a strong sense of confidence. He believed that he was the most outstanding young man, believed in his own talent, and believed that he could have the whole world in the future. He was such a confident person. Just as everyone was amazed by this young man's temperament and their eyes were infatuated with his handsomeness, a beautiful female teacher suddenly walked over and stopped him. Everyone looked over curiously. The female teacher said this to the youth in a low voice. At the same time, she quickly buttoned up his open school uniform. After that, the female teacher bowed apologetically to everyone around her and quickly walked back to her seat. The second-year students who were close to them burst into laughter. Kun Watanabe also has times when he's muddle-headed. The music department was also discussing that scene in a low voice. He likes to unbutton his school uniform. Forget about it in the summer. In the winter, it's obvious that he's just acting cool. Yoshimi Tamamo insisted on her position of Watanabe. But whether Kun Watanabe buttons his school uniform or not, he's still handsome. I agree. I agree too. It's just that his style is different. Is there something wrong with your eyes? My dear Michan, why do you keep talking bad about Kun Watanabe? Is there a conflict? You're the strange ones. Have you forgotten that he scolded us? Yoshimi Tamamo couldn't understand these people. Kuan Watanabe walked to the podium. "I'm the first-year representative, Toru Watanabe." His clear and melodious voice was transmitted to everyone's ears through the loudspeaker. The gymnasium quieted down. Plants sprouting, oaks blooming, warm winds blowing from the sea. There wasn't much emotion in his voice, but it made people feel sad. Just hearing the words "oaks blooming" made Aoi Ichiki's heart ache. She looked at her senior Mai, who was looking at the stage. After today, no matter how many times she came to school, she would never hear the beautiful sound of her senior playing the bass horn from the corridor. She would never be by her side again. She would never play the bass horn by her side again. Next, let's welcome third-year representative, Mayasahi, to the stage. Hearing this voice, Aoi Ichiki came back to her senses. Only then did she realize that her eyes were blurred by tears. She couldn't see the farewell party in front of her clearly. She quickly wiped away her tears. She wasn't the only one. Many people in the trumpet department were crying. Perhaps they were also reluctant to part with Mayasahi. Perhaps they were reluctant to part with the head of the department, Misaki Komatsu. Perhaps the saxophone department was reluctant to part with Senior Gong Yuan. Everyone had their own treasures. On the stage, the first-year representative put cherry blossoms on the third-year graduates. "Hello everyone, I'm the third-year representative, Mayasahi." After the speech, the dean said into the microphone, "Graduates, stand up." The third-year students stood up. Everyone looked at them. "Sing the school song." The trumpet department played music. The third-year students sang the last Kamigawa school song. "The hills of the four valleys, the school building that the crow flies over, our alma mater, Kamigawa." This was the school song. When school started, it was the welcome song. During the competition, it was the song of glory. Now, it was the song of farewell. It wandered in the vast and enclosed space of the gymnasium. Chapter 230. Kanagawa High School's 56th graduation ceremony has come to an end. Everyone, stand up. Teachers, parents, first and second years, and the school leaders on the stage all stood up. Only the third-year graduates were still sitting. Third years leave. The dean's slightly hoarse voice ignited the emotions of parting. First it was Year 3 Class 4. They stood up and bowed to everyone. The homeroom teacher of third-year Class 4 walked in front, and the graduates of third-year Class 4 followed behind. When they took a step forward, everyone subconsciously clapped, and the music section played the melody of Kamigawa School Song. Ansuan Senpai, a girl in the second-year team, suddenly shouted. In third-year Class 4, a girl with a ponytail waved her hand in that direction. Katsuda Senpai, in the first-year team, a boy with a buzz cut roared. Do your best in next year's competition. In third-year Class 4, a boy with a buzz cut waved his fist vigorously. Like the first 2 drops of rain falling in a rainstorm, the rain fell to the ground with a pitter-patter. Senpai, Yamamoto Senpai, Naomi Senpai, at the exit of the gymnasium, as third-year Class 4 was about to pass by and disappear, many balloons suddenly fell down. The third years, who were originally calm and had agreed to leave handsomely, now covered their eyes with their hands. After the graduation ceremony, everyone spent time in the atrium. They took photos with their parents, with their juniors, and chatted about where to go later. Toru Watanabe avoided the crowd and stood alone under a beech tree, watching everyone immersed in the noisy and uneasy atmosphere of parting. The scene in front of him was like the Titanic about to set sail at the port of Southampton. Excitement, happiness, sadness, and confusion. Keisuke Saito went to the computer research department for a parting meeting. Osamu Kanai, 1, 2, 3. He and the buzz-cut boys in the sports club threw the third-year seniors into the air one by one. Toru Watanabe didn't have any seniors who were about to graduate, nor did he have any parting meeting to attend. He thought of Shimizuwa village, which was 400 kilometers away. The sky darkened and dyed orange mountain ridges, a puppy chasing a wild rabbit in a field of grass. On the way home from school, Xiaolian was walking along the canal, trying to maintain her balance. There was also the huge white windmill. It had already been a year since he came to Tokyo, filled with longing for the metropolis, through the county lines, mountains, and tunnels. After calming himself down, Toru Watanabe began looking for Rin Kiyono. The two of them agreed to look for a flower shop today. If it was really a flower shop that bought directly from Datian Flower Market, and to ensure that the other party would send the best roses, he would need the help of the lie detector machine. He walked towards the club building and went straight up to the 5th floor. In the human observation department, Rin Kiyono was sitting by the window. The spring light shone through the window and painted a soft halo on the outline of her body. Her long black hair swayed gently in the wind that blew in from outside the window. This familiar, ordinary, and heartwarming scene, there will be a day when I won't be able to see it, right? Today, 2 years later. Rin Kiyono looked up when she heard the door open. Too slow. His tone was stern. Toru Watanabe laughed, breaking away from the atmosphere of parting everywhere in the school. I looked twice when I came here, he said. Whose legs were you looking at? Rin Kiyono closed her book and put it in her backpack. Why must I look at your legs? No. Watanabe-san, there are times when you don't look at your legs. What's with that surprised expression of yours? I remember telling you before that I don't think about that kind of thing all day long. I also remember telling you before that humans don't stay the same. With how perverted you are, I think it's almost time for you to think about that kind of thing all day long. Are you showing off your memory? Rin Kiyono picked up her backpack and walked out of the club classroom. Toru Watanabe followed behind. I don't know how you came to that conclusion. She sighed and said contemptuously, but judging from your tone, you seem to think that your memory is better than mine. After locking the club classroom, the two of them walked side by side in the deserted corridor. The sound of indoor shoes rubbing against each other drowned out the noise outside the corridor. Toru Watanabe didn't answer and recited directly, by the corridor of the celebrities' room, there are clusters of 8 immortal flowers blooming, please. Today, the big black phoenix butterfly also landed on these flowers, its bright figure reflected in the spring water. On the pergola under the eaves, the wisteria branches are luxuriant. Rin Kiyono recited it easily without any pause or thought. It was her turn to ask the question. The ending of the 8 flags temporary sacrificial ceremony is really boring. Why not be like the Kamo ritual? Without waiting for her to finish, Toru Watanabe opened his mouth. When the emperor heard it, he said, then when I come back tomorrow, I'll call for another dance. The two of them recited The Ancient Capital and Pillow Grass one after another as they walked down the stairs. When they reached the 2nd floor, they met a large group of people from the Blowing Club. They invited the two of them to participate in the Blowing Club's farewell party, but the two of them declined. They stood aside and let the people from the Blowing Club go first. When they passed by each other, Toru Watanabe and Masahi's eyes met. She was holding a long tube with a graduation certificate in her hand. Aoi Ichiki was beside her and begged her to give her the 2nd button on her chest. Senpai, give it to me. I don't want to ruin my clothes. Ah, senpai. Imu, do your best. Perform well later, maybe senpai mai will give it to you. The people from the Blowing Club who knew the inside story and didn't know the inside story all made fun of Aoi Ichiki and cheered her on. Rin Kiyono looked at this scene coldly, as if they were modern young people who weren't interested in kabuki. After leaving Kamigawa, the two of them walked in the direction of 4 valleys, 3 sects. Along the way, there were many flower shops. It was noon, and the sun was shining brightly on the green leafy road. Through the gaps between the leaves, the sunlight sifted through and flashed past. The two of them walked on such a shady road. After walking for 10 minutes, Toru Watanabe took off his suit jacket and put it on his shoulder. He looked handsome again. Rin Kiyono looked at him. This temperature was just right for her. The two girls walking in front of them were wearing Kanagawa High School's uniform. Looking at the color of their ties, they were first-year students. The two of them were holding balloons in their hands, which should have been picked up at the graduation ceremony. They looked at 3 flower shops, but none of them agreed with the request. Either they didn't directly buy from Dada Flower Market, or they didn't intend to abide by the agreement and send the best roses in the shop, they just took a random one. When they passed by a Chinese restaurant called Fragrant Food Pavilion, Toru Watanabe proposed to rest for a while and eat something. They ordered dumplings, chicken with saliva, and mapo tofu. After eating, when it was time to pay the bill, Rin Kiyono took out her wallet and was about to split the bill, but Toru Watanabe stopped her. At this time, how can I let you spend money? Do as you wish. Rin Kiyono put away her wallet. Toru Watanabe took out his wallet and looked at it. Aha, Kiyono classmate. What's the matter? Can I borrow some money from you? The waiter standing there looked at Toru Watanabe with a different expression. Rin Kiyono took out her wallet again and took out 2,000 yuan notes and handed it to the waiter. Outside the shop, Toru Watanabe said, "Arasan, Miss Kiyono, before school starts, please leave a day for me, I'll treat you to a meal. Remember to bring enough money when the time comes. I swear to the sun." After eating lunch, they walked a few steps and saw a park. "Let's sit down and rest for a while," Rin Kiyono said. "Okay." The two of them turned into this park called San Rong. In the sand pit, there were several children playing. Next to them, several young mothers were chatting and enjoying the warmth of the sun. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono leisurely strolled in the San Rong Park, and finally sat down on a bench to rest. The cherry blossom tree above their heads had already bloomed with pink flowers, and its shadow swayed at their feet. 2 benches away, a white-collar woman in overalls was eating lunch alone, and all the pigeons in the park were gathered at her feet. "Is it lonely to eat alone?" Toru Watanabe said. "I'm used to it, and I don't like to eat with others." Rin Kiyono replied. The two of them were silent for a while, watching the white-collar woman feed the pigeons bread. "If we go back to the day of the fireworks in Jingong Stadium, I will definitely take you in, or stay with Mickey. Are you sympathizing with me?" Rin Kiyono turned to look at him. "Eating noodles and watching fireworks alone is not uncomfortable for me." "It's not uncomfortable, it's not uncomfortable," Toru Watanabe replied. "At that time, how could I be assured to leave such a beautiful person like you alone there? It was too dangerous." Rin Kiyono looked at him with some surprise. What he said was true. "Your sense of worry is too exaggerated, it can even be said to be groundless." Toru Watanabe nodded, as if he didn't hear her words, and just answered perfunctorily, "It's too exaggerated." The pink cherry blossom petals were scattered at their feet. The smell of food rushed to the tip of their nose, the wind blew through the cherry blossoms, and the children ran happily in front of them. The world was peaceful. It was noon, not far from the cherry blossoms in full bloom. Leaving the park, the two of them finally found a suitable flower shop called Rose Bond. There were all kinds of flowers in front of the shop. In season, there were all kinds of tulips, white daffodils, carnations, white lilies, and out-of-season sunflowers and pansies. Most of them were roses, red, purple, black, blue, white, yellow, pink, and orange-red. It was full of the colorful fragrance of flowers. "What do you need?" The female shop assistant was in her early 30s, with the appearance of a flower shop owner. "Did you buy the roses here from Daetion Flower Market?" Toru Watanabe asked. "All the flowers here are from Daetion Flower Market." The female shop assistant gently nodded. "Every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, we buy them from Daetion Flower Market." Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono nodded. The female shop assistant looked at the two of them and recommended, "For White Valentine's Day, I recommend purple roses, representing romantic true feelings and precious uniqueness." Toru Watanabe smiled at Rin Kiyono and said, "Romantic true feelings." Rin Kiyono gave him a blank look. "It's not a Valentine's Day gift." Toru Watanabe woke up the absent-minded female shop assistant. "It's used to decorate the activity classroom." The female shop assistant looked embarrassed because of her own absent-mindedness. "Well, for decoration, I recommend dried flowers, they won't wither for at least half a year." "No, fresh flowers are fine." Toru Watanabe interrupted her. "Also, it must be the best roses in the shop. Our shop specializes in high-quality roses. There's no problem at all. The female shop assistant said. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono nodded. I don't want it today. Can I make a reservation? Toru Watanabe asked the female shop assistant again. Of course. May I ask if it's tomorrow or another day? Not tomorrow, not any other day, it's every day in the future. At this point, Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono again. She pondered for a moment and said, 2 years, until we graduate. Toru Watanabe turned to the florist and said, 2 years, every day, If the florist is on vacation, or there's an unavoidable reason, such as illness or earthquake, you don't have to send. Every day? 2 years. Can't I? Of course you can. Although she had never received such an order, it was fine as long as she could make money. The female shop assistant quickly took out a pen and paper from her apron. What's the address? Are the flowers sent every day the same? And the packaging, what style should I choose? The address is Shinano-cho **** 502. 1. No. 2 of the most beautiful roses in the shop that day, any color is fine. For the packaging, use newspaper, something simple is fine. Sir, the female shop assistant said in a measured tone, if it's 2 years, the deposit will be very expensive. Toru Watanabe took out his wallet and took out his bank card with an unknown amount. I'll give you another address. Please send a bouquet of roses every day. He said, if someone doesn't let you in, just say that it's from Toru Watanabe. Okay, the female shop assistant replied. 3 roses? Starting from today, March 20th, until March 20th, 2 years later, every day? Yes. Can I pay the deposit once a month? That's too troublesome. Let's do it once every 2 years. I can also pay the money first. Toru Watanabe had money, so he was not afraid that the other party would deny it. The confirmation process was very fast. The florist went to get the receipt, and the two of them left the florist and stood at the door to admire the flowers. The interior of the florist was slightly cold, but the outside was filled with beautiful sunshine. What flowers are these? Toru Watanabe looked at the clusters of small purple flowers, which were blooming very lively. Don't forget me. With my memory, you don't have to worry about this at all. I said the name of the flowers. I see. There should be a limit to pretending to be stupid. Before Rin Kiyono finished speaking, a gust of wind blew from afar, passing through the sea of flowers and caressing her beautiful long hair. The flowers are admiring you. If they have a consciousness, it's natural for them to admire me. Rin Kiyono tidied up her hair that was blown to the side of her mouth. The flowers are admiring you, but I'm admiring the flowers. What does that mean? Toru Watanabe asked. What does that mean? Yu Yumo did not answer, and instead asked a question of his own. It means that I don't have good taste. I'm admiring the beautiful woman who has flowers by her side, but I'm admiring the flowers. Rin Kiyono looked at him. Are you like this to everyone? Of course not. I think I've only said such mushy words to you. What about Miki Kujo? To her? I usually say, mine, my Miki, I love you, I love you, I love you to death. Rin Kiyono showed an extremely disgusted expression. I can't believe she can accept it. She seemed to be really disgusted. I'm so happy to hear it. I didn't know she was this kind of person before. Rin Kiyono couldn't imagine it. Everyone will change, let alone a girl in love. I just swore to forget me not that one day, when the person Kiyono, classmate like says to you, mine, my Rin, I love you, I love you, I love you to death, you'll be very happy. Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chin and lowered her head, as if she was thinking about something. 10 seconds later, she raised her head and said, it's still disgusting. I don't feel high. At this point, her soft cherry lips trembled, but she couldn't say another word. Their eyes met, and they hurriedly looked away. Rin Kiyono stared at the big Persian chrysanthemum on the right side of the door, while Toru Watanabe studied the clock flower on the left side. "Sir, sorry to keep you waiting." The salesgirl finally came over. Toru Watanabe put the receipt in his wallet, and the two left the flower shop, finally calming down. Chapter 231. There have been a lot of foreigners recently. Do you want me to send you back? The marathon is about to start. Maybe it's because of that. Leaving the flower shop, the two of them walked on the path to Rin Kiyono's apartment. Marathon. Toru Watanabe was puzzled. The Tokyo Marathon, one of the 6 major world marathon events. After explaining, Rin Kiyono turned to look at him. "You don't even know this." A breeze blew, her black hair hanging down from her face, blending with the spring breeze. "No wonder there have been more people running in the morning recently." Toru Watanabe nodded. He suddenly remembered something. "Kiyono-san, do you know how many meters a circle around the outer court of the shrine is?" "I don't know." "You don't even know this? I thought you knew everything." Toru Watanabe sighed, revealing a sense of pride and ridicule. "Watanabe-san," Rin Kiyono's voice was like the spring water that had just thawed, cold and crisp. "Do you know Chris Podi? Do you know Marsalis Podi? Do you know the 4th movement of Dvorak's Symphony No. 9? I don't like your trumpet, I only like your legs. By the way, when can you let me touch you, Razor-san?" Rin Kiyono laughed. If that smile had to be described, there was only one word to describe it: cruel. The so-called cruel and vicious, mutilating or abusing someone. "Watanabe-san, if you want to be stepped on, I can satisfy you at any time." Toru Watanabe took 2 steps back, and put on a serious attitude of refusal. "I don't want to play with you, I just want to touch you." Rin Kiyono glared at him fiercely. Toru Watanabe looked at her lovely face. She didn't seem to be angry. By now, Rin Kiyono had unknowingly become accustomed to his jokes about legs. However, when she thought about it carefully, it seemed that he only made peachy jokes about Rin Kiyono. After sending Rin Kiyono back, Toru Watanabe returned to Shinonko. After resting for a while, just as he was thinking about how to pass the time, Keisuke Saito invited him and Osamu Kanai to go fishing at the station tomorrow. Recommend a shop to buy fishing gear. Both Kanda and Nakano have streets dedicated to fishing gear. While chatting in the group, Toru Watanabe changed into his regular clothes and prepared to go to Shintian to buy fishing gear and stroll around the bookstore. He walked into the elevator and pressed the button for the first floor. "Tomorrow, Kunai and I will go by bicycle." "I don't have a bicycle." "Alright, why don't the 3 of us take advantage of the spring break to take the motorcycle driving test?" "I have no problem with that." "What's the point of learning motorcycles? It was too dangerous." Then, Toru Watanabe and Osamu Kanai tried to persuade Keisuke Saito to go with them to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Unknowingly, the elevator reached the first floor. He walked with his head down while typing. When he got out of the car, he caught a glimpse of a familiar lower body. Toru Watanabe looked up. It was a middle-aged female elite wearing a suit. Beside her, there was a young girl. He continued to type with his head down. Suddenly, he realized something was wrong. He looked up again. Then, he quickly turned around. At the last moment, he blocked the elevator door that was about to close and walked into the elevator that just went out. After pressing the button for the 5th floor, he stood behind the middle-aged female elite and the young girl. This was the first time Toru Watanabe and Masahi met in the Shinonko apartment. At that time, Toru Watanabe was going to Shintian to buy fishing gear. Masahi and her mother came to arrange the furniture. The 2 people bumped into each other at the elevator on the 1st floor. He walked out and she walked in. Before the elevator door closed, there was an ear-piercing sound of a sports car accelerator outside the apartment. I'm sorry about today. Rihanna is also graduating." Mai's mother's tone was a little apologetic. "It's okay." Mai's mother nodded and did not say anything. She stared at the constantly changing floor number. In the blurry reflection of the elevator, Mayasahi and Toru Watanabe, who was behind her, looked at each other. Since he hurriedly followed her into the elevator, her heart was filled with an indescribable happiness. She took out her phone and sent Toru Watanabe an arrow in the body, surrounded by hearts emoji. Then, in the reflection of the elevator wall, she saw Toru Watanabe finish reading the message. Then, he closed his eyes and put his right hand on his heart. Mayasahi's mouth unconsciously raised into a shallow smile. Her eyes were like a clear summer stream. It was very beautiful. "Che, where are you going?" "I'll look for you after my mother leaves." "I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait for you." Room 602. "Are you in a good mood today?" Mai's mother suddenly asked. "I'm living alone," Mayasahi replied. Mai's mother's eyes twinkled. She raised her hand as if she wanted to pat her daughter's head. But in the end, she gave up. "You have to live well even if you're alone." She sighed and said, "Okay." When the elevator reached the 5th floor, Toru Watanabe returned to his room. He threw himself on the sofa and looked at the ceiling. Mayasahi's room was 602. It was above 502. At this moment, she might be walking over his head. If the ceiling was transparent, he would be able to see the beautiful world under her pleated skirt. Thinking of this, Toru Watanabe's mind naturally recalled the night he spent with Mayasahi. After sitting on the sofa for less than a minute, he couldn't help but stand up. He walked around the living room and finally came to the balcony. Under the afternoon sun, every leaf in the forest outside the divine palace reflected the light, like a sparkling sea. 20 minutes later, Mayasahi sent a message. Toru Watanabe got into the elevator to the 6th floor. When the elevator door closed, he thought that he should have taken the time to take a shower. Almost as soon as he pressed the doorbell, the door opened. Before Toru Watanabe could see clearly, Mayasahi threw herself at him. In the corridor, the two hugged each other tightly. Perhaps to tidy up the furniture, Mayasahi took off her school jacket. Her white shirt was tucked into her pleated skirt. Toru Watanabe hugged her slender waist through the thin shirt. Their breathing began to quicken. Their faces were so close that their cheeks were slightly sunken. Toru Watanabe carried her and walked into room 602. After entering the room, Toru Watanabe no longer had any scruples. His lips found Mayasahi's lips. His hands slid down and kneaded her plump buttocks through her pleated skirt. When their lips parted, Toru Watanabe took a deep breath. Only then could he control the impulse in his heart. However, the other participant in this game, Mayasahi, had no intention of restraining herself. She kissed Toru Watanabe's hair, forehead, eyebrows, eyes. "Che, Che, Che." Over and over again, Mayasahi called out her lover's name. Toru Watanabe couldn't hold back anymore. He reached out and pulled her white shirt out of her skirt. His palms were pressed against her slightly sunken spine. He slid them all the way to the button of her bra. At this point, his hands separated into two sides. Each of them followed a belt and headed toward the mountain until they reached the peak. At the entrance, her clothes were still on. Once. On the sofa, her shirt was unbuttoned. Once. On the bed in the bedroom, only her pleated skirt was left. Finally, Mayasahi was barely breathing. The two of them hugged each other and stopped. The room was quiet. Outside the window, the occasional bird perched in the outer garden of the shrine flapped its wings as it flew past the window. "From tomorrow onwards, will we be staying here?" Toru Watanabe asked softly in Mayasahi's ear. "Yes. A day, a month, a year. How should we arrange our time when we suddenly have more time?" "Yes, Che." "Then, in the morning, we'll go to the outer garden. You practice the oboe and I'll run. During the day, I'll hold you in my arms and we'll play games together. At night, we'll have dinner, go for a walk, and watch a movie." Later, Toru Watanabe hugged Mayasahi tighter. "I'm going to torture you all night long." "That's great." Mayasahi pressed her face against his neck longingly. The two of them checked each other's breathing and body temperature. When the sky was completely dark, Toru Watanabe patted Masahi's back. "Get up." Masahi did not speak. She just moved her body and completely pressed Toru Watanabe's body. She wrapped her arms tightly around his neck. Her actions seemed to be saying, "You're not going anywhere." "Let's go for dinner," Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Masahi's head, which was buried in his collarbone, shook. The hair on top of her head tickled Toru Watanabe's face. "When you're full, you'll have the strength to continue at night." He lowered his voice and whispered, "It's our first time spending the night together. I won't be merciful. Are you ready?" Masahi propped up her upper body with a whoosh and looked down at Toru Watanabe. Her soft long hair formed a waterfall between the two of them. Looking at her clear eyes that didn't blink, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong?" "I'm happy." After saying that, she got out of bed and walked naked into the bathroom in the bedroom. Toru Watanabe watched her go in. Hearing the sound of water, he couldn't wait to go in immediately and unlock a new scene. Although his body allowed him to be unscrupulous, he still held back. Out of laziness, Toru Watanabe still lay in bed for a while. He waited for Masahi to finish bathing before he went in to take a shower. When he got out of bed, he threw the pillow that had fallen to the ground back onto the bed. By the time he came out of the shower, Masahi had already changed into her regular clothes. She wore a light pink sweater with a high, loose collar, a white high-waisted dress, and a short white down jacket, which made her look cute and fashionable. When Toru Watanabe picked up the clothes on the ground and put them on, she walked over with her school uniform. "Che, I'll give you the button. Don't pull it off." Toru Watanabe put on his pants and said, "Take good care of the school uniform. In the future, I'll let you wear it for me from time to time. Do you understand what I mean? I'll keep my figure." Masahi looked expectant. After Toru Watanabe put on his clothes, the two of them left the apartment. They had originally planned to go to Shantian, but if Masahi went with them, they could only change their route and go to Nakano. When they went downstairs, they didn't meet Aona Koizumi and the others. Toru Watanabe wanted to find an opportunity to tell Aona Koizumi about Masahi. In any case, she would definitely keep it a secret for him. As for Huang Zi and Miyazaki Miyuki, he was still hesitating. But living in the same apartment, it should be very difficult to hide it from them who were keen and gossipy. When they went downstairs, Toru Watanabe called a taxi. In the car, Masahi held Toru Watanabe's arm and leaned her body on him. Doing this outside was a very dangerous thing, but Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. In terms of who he loved more, there was no doubt that it was Miki. If Masahi didn't want to be with him even if she had to die, he wouldn't do anything to let Miki down. But now that things had come to this, it didn't matter. Since they were already together, he had to treat them well and never get involved with other girls. "Senpai, can I ask you a question?" "Yes." "Why do you like me? Is there a girl who doesn't like Toru?" Aoi Ichiki and Yoshimi Tamamo. Masahi raised her face and looked at Toru Watanabe's handsome and lazy face. Even if someone doesn't like Toru or doesn't like you at first, as long as Toru takes the initiative to approach her, she will definitely like you. Toru is special. She lowered her head again and put her face on Toru Watanabe's arm. "Since I was young, I have never cared about anyone, only Toru. I want to be with you. No matter what, I want to be with you. In my life, I only want Toru." Toru Watanabe had been holding, touching, and pinching Asami's small hand, hoping to give her a sense of security through this action, telling her that he was here. After eating French food in Nakano District, he accompanied Asami Mai around the mall and bought some spring clothes for each of them. He wanted to watch a movie, but Masahi said, "Toru, don't waste time. To me, being with you is the happiest thing." Toru Watanabe could only satisfy her. They took a taxi back to the apartment and started kissing in the elevator. After entering apartment 602, Toru Watanabe closed the door. Masahi moved closer with her mouth slightly open again. Toru Watanabe threw away the shopping bag in his hand, picked her up and put her on the shoe cabinet at the entrance. During the short break, Masahi lay on the bed and Toru Watanabe lay on her back. Their fingers and bodies were tightly intertwined. "Senior, are you very close to your mother?" "Yes." "Can you tell me about it?" "My parents are divorced. They have their own families and children. I live at my father's house for a while and at my mother's house for a while." Masahi closed her eyes to rest. Her tone was calm and did not show any sadness. Toru Watanabe did not say anything. He was thinking about Masahi's expression when she saw her parents doting on her new child. Indifferent. How would she feel in her heart? He thought of that night in Kyoto. Masahi was strangled by him. Masahi persuaded him to use succinine. At that time, she was redundant in her family. The person she liked did not want her and wanted to kill her. How pitiful. Why did she give me such a fate? Did she ask this question in tears late at night under that expressionless appearance? "Senior." "Yes." "If you don't like it, it's okay to leave your parents. I'll take care of you in the future." Masahi opened her eyes and stared at Toru Watanabe's hand that was entangled with hers. "Toru did something wrong to his girlfriend because of me. I'm already very satisfied. As for money, I'll work hard and support myself with music in the future." Toru Watanabe's face was pressed against Masahi's smooth and delicate back. "I have my own money. I'll buy this apartment for you tomorrow and give you half of my money." "No need. I have to give it to you." Toru Watanabe's tone was firm. "You made me do something wrong to Miki, but I also made you my lover. You can't be with the person you like openly." "Without Toru, no matter how much money you give me, it's useless to me. Even if you don't feel at ease after taking the money, I still hope you can accept it." Toru Watanabe buried his face in her long hair. "I'm not giving you money to make up for my guilt, nor to make it convenient for me to break up with you in the future. I hope that from now on, you can work hard or not. You can learn music or not. I want you to be happy. Listen to me." Masahi raised Toru Watanabe's hand and put it on her red and slightly sweaty cheeks. "Yes, I'll listen to you. Senior, I won't leave you. In the future, the two of us will be family." Masahi pretended to turn around. Toru Watanabe got up and moved aside. Their tightly clasped bodies separated. Toru Watanabe was a little surprised. From the moment they came back, Masahi didn't want him to leave her body, even if it was to get out of bed to drink water. What was going on now? Masahi tilted her head and stared at him. After hesitating for a while, she said, "The child's father?" Toru Watanabe couldn't help but laugh. "We don't have children yet. Isn't it too early to call him that?" Masahi turned around and sat on Toru Watanabe. "Have one now," she said. "For this kind of thing, at least wait until you graduate from university, right?" Toru Watanabe held her slender waist. "I'm not going to university. The point is, I'm only in my second year of high school. Drop out too. My mother and Kei-san will beat me to death." "Oh." Masahi's flat tone revealed faint dissatisfaction and disappointment. Such childishness and such desperate true feelings made Toru Watanabe unable to control the impulse he had been suppressing. "Ah." Masahi raised her snow-white neck and made a sound like crying. The night was still long, and the future was still long. But for them, every minute and second was worth cherishing. Because there was already happiness in life. Chapter 232. On the first day of spring break, Shinjuku was shining as far as the eye could see. Early in the morning, Toru Watanabe and Masahi came to the tree-lined outer court of the shrine. "I'm going for a run." "Okay." Masahi watched Toru Watanabe walk away. Because she hadn't bought an oboe yet, she still practiced playing the bass today. Toru Watanabe stretched his body and walked to the area where he usually ran. There was a black man in short-sleeved shirts and shorts who seemed to be ready to test his running speed. 100 meters ahead, a man in a sportswear jacket held a stopwatch in his hand and was ready to give orders. Toru Watanabe also walked over and stood in a position where he wouldn't affect the other person. The black man, who might be a mixed race after walking closer, didn't pay attention to Toru Watanabe and focused on his preparation. When the man with the stopwatch waved his hand, he rushed out with a whoosh. At first, he shook off his arm and ran with his head down, but the figure beside him who was on par with him forced him to divert his attention. It was a very handsome young man whom he had never seen before. A track and field athlete who hadn't shown his talent yet? The muscles on his face flew, and he sped up with all his might. However, not only did he fail to shake off the man, but he was also overtaken. The distance of 100 meters was over before he could feel it. Because of the acceleration, the two rushed out for a distance before stopping. "Do you need to run so fast for a marathon?" The man muttered to himself in Icelandic and jogged away. "Fei Nyao." The team member who was doing morning exercises together came over. 21 seconds. Not bad. How many seconds did that man take? The mixed-race black man spoke in Icelandic. The team member was stunned. "What man?" "The man who ran with me just now." "I didn't pay attention." "What's wrong?" Fei Nyao wiped her sweat and looked at the man's disappearing back. "Do you have photos of the athletes who participated in the 2020 Olympics?" "If I check, there should be." "What's wrong?" "Nothing," Fei Nyao said. "I don't like the outer court of the shrine. Let's go to the outer court of the Kokyo tomorrow." "This is only the first day?" "Forget it, I don't care. It's just morning exercise anyway." Toru Watanabe ran all the way here and saw many black people. His tan skin, defined muscles, and determined and focused eyes made him look like a professional runner who had been practicing for a long time. There was a black man who was fast and steady. Just by looking at his running posture, one could tell that he was not an ordinary person. Toru Watanabe caught up with him and ran alongside him, learning the pace of a professional athlete. The black man looked at him and introduced himself in English. "Lisa Watanabe," Toru Watanabe replied. The two of them stopped talking and ran silently in the outer courtyard of the Divine Palace at the same pace. There were rows of ginkgo trees lining the road. The wind blew the leaves and brushed their hair. As he ran, a girl with a good figure appeared in front of him. Toru Watanabe had been running here for a long time, but he had never seen this person before. It seemed that he was a marathon winner and had just started training recently. The black man named Relisa gave Toru Watanabe a look, and the two slowed down at the same time. Unfortunately, after one lap, the woman who did not exercise often was so tired that she started to walk. The two of them could only speed up. After running 5 laps, Toru Watanabe was ready to leave. He said to Relisa, "Go for the marathon." Relisa did not stop and only gave him a thumbs up. Toru Watanabe walked slowly. After a while, he heard the distant and moving sound of Masahi's bass horn. The two of them walked back together. In the inbox on the first floor, Toru Watanabe took out the 2 red roses that had just been sent. "For the person who loves me." He handed one to Masahi. "Thank you." Masahi reached out and took the flowers. The two of them walked into the elevator, and Toru Watanabe pressed the 5th and 6th floors. "I'll go back to take a shower and change clothes. Mike can sleep for a while." "I'll go with Toru. Sensei Koizumi and the others live next door." Toru Watanabe said with a smile. "Sensei, you've chosen a good place for a student and a teacher to be neighbors. Then let's change apartments." "That's too obvious. When there's a chance, I'll introduce you to Sensei Koizumi." Masahi tilted her head slightly. "Is it okay?" "It's okay. In their eyes, I'm not a good person anyway." Masahi nodded slightly. "I'll be a bad person with Toru." "If possible, I think we should try to be good people." Without saying more than 10 words, the elevator reached the 5th floor. Miyasahi's clear eyes watched Toru Watanabe walk out of the elevator without blinking. See you later. Toru Watanabe waited for the elevator door to close. After taking a shower and drying his hair, he noticed the roses on the table. Toru Watanabe took a photo with his phone and sent it to Rin Kiyono. Got it. Very cold. I like it. Toru Watanabe put down his phone. The doorbell rang. He went straight to the door and opened it. Watanabe, are you done with your morning exercise? Good morning, Sensei Koizumi. Good morning. Aona Koizumi couldn't control her gaze. She glanced at Toru Watanabe's strong chest, the waistline on his lower abdomen, and the Apollo's belt on his pelvis. What's the matter? Toru Watanabe regretted not wearing clothes and pretended not to notice her gaze. I'm afraid you won't eat when you're on vacation, so I came to call you for breakfast. Aona Koizumi stared at Toru Watanabe's face to control herself. But just like how she couldn't look directly at Rin Kiyono's face, Toru Watanabe's face was the same. It wasn't very friendly to the heart. So she decided to leave. Get dressed and come over quickly. I still have eggs in the frying pan. Okay, I'll be right there. She got dressed and walked into apartment 501. Huang Zi was curled up on the chair, hugging her calves and sleeping with her head tilted. Miyazaki Miyuki was sleeping on the dining table, probably because her chest was too heavy. Good morning, sensei. Teacher. Toru Watanabe shouted. HM? HM? What's wrong? Huang Zi was startled awake and almost fell down. Miyazaki Miyuki slowly woke up. She straightened her back and yawned for 7 or 8 seconds. Her pajamas were about to burst open. Come and help. Aona Koizumi called. Coming. Toru Watanabe was very enthusiastic. During breakfast, Toru Watanabe talked about the apartment again because they were going to buy a house later. Sensei, you've really decided to buy this apartment? He asked. Of course. Huang Zi said. What if you get married in the future? Let your husband move in. Toru Watanabe looked at the sleepy Huang Zi. Isn't that inappropriate? Young man, you haven't been together with Aonai yet. You don't have to think so far ahead. Miyazaki Miyuki said. I heard that. Aona Koizumi's voice came from the kitchen table. It's my dream to buy a house here. Huang Zi picked up a piece of toast. Dream. At that time. When? Toru Watanabe asked. Huang Zi smacked her lips in dissatisfaction. When I first came to Tokyo. Oh, please continue. At that time, the three of us were squeezed into a run-down apartment in Shanbing District and spent a lot of time on the tram every day. Toru Watanabe thought for a moment. Shanbing District and Shinjuku District, where Kamigawa is located, are separated by Nakano District. Every day to go to work, they spend a lot of time on commuting. But in order to save money, the affordable housing there is indeed the best choice. Every time the tram stops at Shinano-cho, Huang Zi continued, I hear the conductor shout, next stop, Shinano-cho, and I make up my mind. In the future, I must buy a high-end apartment here. It's like there's something magical about it. Why must it be Shinano? Toru Watanabe curiously asked. How much money can a person earn in their lifetime? Huang Zi suddenly asked. Toru Watanabe didn't know about this, but he read a lot of books. Those novelists, in order to write books, know a little bit about everything. In Mitsuaki Hikari's novel, 3 Days of Happiness, there is an original quote. The book I read before mentioned that the lifetime salary of an office worker is probably 200 million to 300 million, so each person's life is probably worth this price. This book is published by Kadokawa's publishing house, and it's quite famous, so it shouldn't be a big problem. 200 million to 300 million. He replied. Then, among the people who can earn 200 million to 300 million in their lifetime, how many people can afford to buy a Shinano apartment? Koizumi, sensei, I don't know how to answer this question. Toru Watanabe asked the kitchen counter. Watanabe, don't pay attention to her. Koizumi, sensei responded, when it comes to buying a house, her brain is not clear. Huang Zi ignored Aona Koizumi and continued to explain her dream to Toru Watanabe. Me, she pointed to herself, Aonai, Miyazaki Miyuki, don't eat, don't drink, don't spend a penny, the three of us can buy a house in 10 years. With that, she contentedly added, this is a great dream. Looking at the proud Huang Zi who was immersed in her dream, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but think of his father. When he was young, he rode a motorcycle up Mount Fuji. Did he also have a great dream? But compared to his dream, compared to the Yamaha motorcycle that climbed Toyama with him, he chose the Honda Coyote that delivered goods. He chose his family. What to regard as a treasure is a personal matter. He recalled Rin Kiyono's words. If you really decide to buy it, have you considered a loan? Toru Watanabe asked. I've been preparing to ask the bank. Aona Koizumi walked over and handed him a cup of warm milk. If we can get a 0% down payment or a 10% low-interest mortgage, we'll buy it. 150 million for a house, with our identities as teachers. Unless Aonai students are the best in the country every year. Miyazaki Miyuki lazily ate a strawberry with a fork and knife. Young man, it's not easy to be an adult. I believe in teachers. Toru Watanabe encouraged. Ah, Watanabe, when are you going to marry our Aonai? I don't want to work hard, I don't want to save money, I just want to eat barbecue every day. I want to buy the latest clothes and phones. Huang Zi wailed. Aona Koizumi finished wiping her hands and sat down. Don't listen to Huang Zi's nonsense. She's the one who saves the most among the three of us. She picked up her chopsticks. I've moved here for 3 months, I'm used to it. Toru Watanabe didn't mind. Seeing my savings increase is the only way to wash away my fatigue from work. Huang Zi had a small tomato on her fork and knife. She looked at it affectionately, as if she was looking at her small savings that were slowly increasing every month. Toru Watanabe took a bite of the fried egg and said in admiration, Sensei Koizumi, the fried egg is getting better. Is that so? Aona Koizumi laughed. Then eat more. Hey, Watanabe, I'm talking to you about the apartment. Did you hear me? Huang Zi refused to let the two of them off the hook so easily. I heard you, I'll go buy it in the afternoon. After Toru Watanabe said that, Huang Zi lost interest. What she wanted to see was the two of them hurriedly denying it, not the two of them who became thick-skinned. After dinner, Toru Watanabe helped wash the dishes. Then, he left apartment 501. Aona Koizumi was going to wait for Huang Zi and Miyazaki Miyuki to wake up before going to Mizuho Bank to ask about the loan and have some fun. Toru Watanabe and Mayasahi, together with the agent, went to the landlord to discuss the purchase of the apartment. The agent and the landlord were surprised to see the two of them. But as long as they could afford it, it didn't matter if the buyer was a 30-year-old adult, an 18-year-old college student, a ghost, a demon, or a deity. The rental rate of this apartment was very high, but under the agent's haggling, they finally sold it at a price 5% lower than the market price. Mayasahi signed and stamped it, and they could get the real estate certificate in about 2 weeks. The real estate certificate in Japan was called Registration Identification Information, a document with the real estate identification code written on it. This was something that Toru Watanabe found out later. Toru Watanabe transferred 500 million yen to Mayasahi. After that, the two of them took a taxi to the Black District, strolled around the Freedom Hill, and bought an oboe. The Freedom Hill was a place where the rhythm of life was melodious. The streets, the food, the desserts, and the furniture were all exquisite. In short, the artistic youth would like it at first sight. Perhaps there were people like Huang Zi who regarded living here as a great dream. The two of them walked on a street called Nine Buddha. The left and right sides of the street were filled with dazzling shops and benches. There was a cherry blossom tree in the middle of the street. It was spring now, and the pink petals became the umbrella of the commercial street, turning it into a corridor. Do you want to drink milk tea? Toru Watanabe looked at the milk tea shop full of girls. There are too many people. It's okay, Toru Watanabe said slowly. We have a lot of time. Take it slow. Masahi looked at him. Okay. After waiting in line for 15 minutes, it was their turn. They walked under the cherry blossom tree and looked at the cabinets around them. When they saw something they liked, they went in to take a look. When they were tired, they found a place to sit down and drank a cup of milk tea while playing with a pigeon. Senior. Yes. Masahi looked away from the pigeon at her feet and looked at Toru Watanabe. Now that you have your own home, do you suddenly want to live seriously? I'm very happy with Toru. What I mean is… Well, how should I put it? Toru Watanabe thought for a while. For example, do you want to cook every day, take a good bath, sleep early, wake up early, and go out to play every week? Masahi held the milk tea and looked up at the cherry blossom tree above her head. She seemed to be carefully analyzing her feelings to see if she was like what Toru Watanabe said. For her, other than liking Toru Watanabe, she didn't have any other feelings. If she didn't carefully feel it, she wouldn't have any. How about trying baking first? Toru Watanabe looked at her beautiful side profile. Making cakes and baking cookies? Toru, do you want to eat? Masahi looked at him. Yes, I'll eat it if Senior makes it. Masahi suddenly stood up. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. I'm buying ingredients. She paused and said, and baking reference books. No hurry. Toru Watanabe pulled her back to the bench. Let's talk about it after you rest. Okay. Masahi leaned her head on his shoulder. There were no clouds in the sky. The slightly cold wind in the morning was now warm. It was an impeccable early spring. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.